Guys, Robert here, and I've got a pretty good lineup with me today. I've got how you say your name? BBally or Bob, as we're calling you, right?
Yeah, just,
Bob.
yeah.
We got Exalted Speed right beneath me, or Dave, as he will be calling him.
Yeah, whatever works for people. I don't really care that much.
And returning as they're all returning, but more frequent is Bianca.
Hi.
And today we're not going to be talking about the Depp trial. That's one thing we want to avoid about because it's all over the place. And after today's testimony, I just want to drain my mind of it. But instead,
because me and Robert, we agreed we're going to rant about something that has nothing to do with the Johnny Depp case. But
first off, Ninja Turtles.
Yay!
Yeah. I heard good things. I heard good things about that miniseries.
Okay, so this is either going to be an indictment for people or everything else. It's the best Frank Miller comic I've read in years.
Wait, it's made by Frank Miller?
No, it's just a joke. That's the joke.
Oh, dang it.
Basically people have been saying it's one. People are saying it's like the bright spot of the current IDW run because a lot of people aren't particularly fond of the current run in the main.
Ever since Sophie Campbell took over, I can understand that they feel like. What?
I've been trying to wait a bit on the Sophie Campbell run because it's. I want to like it.
Yeah, me too.
She has good ideas. That's the thing. She has good ideas.
The Mutant City, great idea. I love the idea.
Yep, the punk mice or what, punk frogs or whatever.
But I think her big problem, and this is okay, is that she can't write a monthly She's learning how to write a monthly comic when she's mostly done graphic novels.
Yes.
But
I will say this though, I am now. Does it sound? You're thinking I'm gonna sound nuts. I've never been a hater of Venus.
Neither
here's the thing.
Especially when I heard about the behind the scenes stuff about her.
I didn't hate necessarily. Okay, here's why I hated Venus as a kid. I'll be the one to be like
the girl among the boys.
No, I hated the plots written around her.
Yes.
Mostly because it's like this. She's just introduced from completely nowhere with this backstory, and then they try to write romance. And...
Oh, that, believe it or not, from what I've heard, it was when I was at a YomaCon a while ago. Hey, how you doing, guys? But yeah, like I said, I was at YomaCon. I was in line. I don't remember her name, but there's really diehard, really known in a lot of circles, but I don't remember her name. Diehard fan of Ninja Turtles. She actually said if they had continued with Next Mutation, she would have been the suit actor for Mikey. That's how deep she was into it. But she had said how, because she was connected with a lot of stuff, and apparently Peter Laird was not actually hating Venus at first until but that's because she was supposed to be a sister. She was supposed to be a sister. Saban and them all agreed she's a sister. That's what got Peter approved of it. But at the very last second, Saban said, "Nope, she's not related, so we can have the boys crush on her." And it was just like, and that's what turned Laird against it. He hated his idea of instead of having her be a sister, she still was someone they wanted to bang.
Wow, that actually explains a lot. And like I've actually saw like some people said that Peter Laird was sexist for hating a girl turtle, but with that explanation, it's like, oh.
Yeah, he got betrayed. He got betrayed. It's like I allowed it and they changed it.
Sorry.
I was gonna say that I didn't hate Venus. I wasn't a big fan of her because I was more of a fan of Ninjara from the Archie comic run.
Oh yeah, she was cool. God, that's a character who I always wanted to do a thread on because of just her weird legal history.
Oh yeah.
I think because of that, I think that's why Alopex feels like IDW's version of her.
Oh yeah, no, that's literally the intent.
Mm-hmm.
So this is about the live action Venus. No.
Right. What I was talking about was the live action Venus. What I was talking about was the one in Next Mutations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
but,
I
Idw
now
just
remember that
becoming-
line. Oh, that was so
Mhm.
disappointing to me. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
okay,
a
so she's
girl
like a
turtle.
sister.
Yep.
She's like, so
Well,
I am not
we're
your
not
sister.
brothers. We're mutant boy and mutant girl, but we were just all like, okay, I get they would never make clear that they were actually brothers. I get it. Some versions they're not, and they never dwell on it. But again, that's what Laird agreed on. He didn't want Venus to be the girl that they were lusting for. And again, and that they changed a lot of the scripts on the day. That was the other thing. They had a lot of scripts in the canon. Basically said, if you read the original scripts, she's not as insufferable.
That's
Yeah.
Again, blame Saban.
That makes a lot of sense. And just to give like Laura Sparks Ramen there, my thoughts on Jon Stewart. If we're talking about the comic book character, a great character, written a bit inconsistently since the JLU cartoon because they had to work in the Marine backstory.
But I think Jeff Johns made it work, I think.
I think he did a fine job on it, which is perfectly fine. I was okay with
Thoughts on
that.
Jeffrey Thorne's handling?
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind that I'm going to say this. I'm going to be having him on eventually, so...
I want to like his run more. Okay. I think the guy has passion. I just don't like his comic.
Fair enough. Hey, to each their own. I felt that it was good that he was actually tying things back to Mosaic, which, let's be honest, that got unrightfully just trashed and ignored because they're like, they were building up this thing with John, and at the last thing, because they canceled it, just kill the whole idea.
I mean, it would be nice if Mosaic could get love, but there's a reason why it can't anymore, and I curse being me because I know way too much sometimes. It disturbs me.
But anyway, what I was saying about was Venus quickly was that, well, for one, I'll be honest, I have my own thing for the Turtles up in my head. I have this whole version of the Turtles up in my head. Even told that girl about it, and she said, "Hey, pitch it to Nickelodeon one day." But here my idea was: first 2 seasons deal with the Shredder. The second 2 deal with Krang. Then I introduce Venus. Much like in the show, she shows up. Even have Mikey think girl turtle, oh, dreams do come true. But once it's revealed she's their sister, he's like, God, give me the brain bleach. Why did I think that? Stuff like that. And I've always played up this. Mikey's the youngest. Donnie's the second youngest. Venus is the middle. Then Leo, and then Raph. And I always play up to their ages. So I always have, once Venus is introduced, she's the middle ground. She's not a Mary Sue or anything like that. She is just the in-between of them all. Sometimes she wants, but because of her upbringing, she doesn't know how to be rambunctious, but there's a side of her that wants to be because she is a teenager. She doesn't know how to.
Like I said, I think Venus as a concept could work out very well in the hands of the right writer. I actually don't think there's a lot of stuff you could do with her, even on her toy. I remember her toy. I actually had all the Next Mutation toys as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I had a toy of her, and she came with a fan. And I actually thought the metal fan idea would have been a cool weapon if they used it.
Kind of like Katana?
Yeah, a bit. It would have been at least a neat thing to see them use in the show, but they gave her weird smoke bomb things. Okay.
And then the what was it, the chi or whatever, which I'm not against people using chi, but they use it as a Deus Ex Machina too much.
Okay, was anyone else also ticked off that they just gave her a light blue color and not her own color? Or was that just me?
Why didn't they give her yellow?
Yeah,
what's her name now? Jenica has that.
Yeah, I want to like Jenica Marmalade.
Yeah, I think that's another issue people have with the current IW run is that people feel like she's concentrating too much on characters who are not the main cast.
Yes.
Well, I think it's like this. I think that if there was a 2 title system, where there was one that had just the Ninja Turtles and one comic focused on Jenica, I think she would be overall.
That aren't miniseries.
Well, that's the problem. You had the miniseries focused on her, and then the main comic focused on her, and then it's my God, this is
overexposure.
Yes.
This is not how you're supposed to run multiple.
Push up her character development because of events.
Well, it's like this. One of the reasons why, Reign of the Superman back in the day was for the writers a big relief, believe it or not, was because they basically got to write their own character in each title.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that way they couldn't. That way they weren't constantly running over each other. So
And
I
they
think
plan things out. It's also because the Superman team always plans things out. They're like, we'll have the first couple of months where we just establish the characters, then we have the meetups.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the the triangle era. Anyway,
I love that era.
but
I
that
like- Yeah, I like that era. Although I'm more of a pre-crisis fan, like especially Bronze Age Superman.
Oh, yep.
Oh, yeah.
I do like the Triangle era. I do think the '90s era of Superman was fantastic.
oh
I
yeah,
One of my
definitely.
favorite eras. One of my favorite
Definitely a
eras.
good era and an underrated era, but still, right, at least nowadays.
Right.
But yeah, the thing with but no, I wanted to, like I said, I hate constantly saying I want to like it more, but I do. I think some of these are good ideas. It's just execution wise,
feeling bad.
Yeah, and especially going back to Jennifer, is that they were able to make Alopex a popular character without overexposing her.
Well, they were able to do it pretty well. I think the fact that they were able to combine the miniseries and the main series together to not make someone too out there. Because when IDW started, and believe me, I have it. I have like the first 15 of the trades right next to me right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
That's a lot of trades, I know.
yeah, I probably should trade those up with a hardcover collection someday. But moving on. But they had a good strategy of, hey, we have the main Turtle title to reinvent it, and then we have these one shots to flesh everything
Micro
out.
series, the old micro series method.
Yes. It was a good idea, and honestly, I think IDW should have stuck with it, especially in this era,
Yeah.
where Jenica is the main character and stuff, and because I understand they don't want maybe to run too many titles, because, look, COVID, I get it, struggles. You're about to lose Transformers license, and you're
And
looking
G.I. Joe and all that.
I mean, look what COVID did to MLP season 10. It was meant to run longer than that.
Oh, geez, yeah, that was going to go so much longer, and then they just had to rush it at the end. And I didn't mind the ending, to be honest.
Me neither.
But it was with the Generation Mini. Good God, that was a horrible note to go out on. That Generation.
When IDW loses Transformers, I'm actually planning on a thread to cover their history a bit more in detail.
Oh boy, talking about a hodgepodge of different creative directions that they finally got. Once they finally got their shit together, they threw too much into it.
Well,
yeah, that really upsets me because with Wreckers, they're finally making a Star Saber who actually feels like his proper character from the anime.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's very bittersweet. Look, my hope is that all the people currently working on the TF titles somehow end up at Skybound. That's my kind of hope.
They're not.
Oh, probably not.
And unfortunately, there's more people who don't want it because, again, you have people saying, "Oh, the current Transformers woke." Is it woke?
No,
I look. A lot of people often use
For which one?
woke, so
I hate that
the current Transformers. The current Transformers.
I'll say this: the current iteration, I feel like it suffers from a huge identity issue. Beast Wars does not. That's the only title so far in
But they have a foundation to work from.
Yeah.
With the new IDW stuff, it feels like they just want to be IDW 1.0, but can't.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to show this.
Oh, that's nice.
Deviation,
That's cool.
where what if instead of just Leo, what if all four turtles got brainwashed during City Fall?
That's cool.
That's so cool.
But because of the what if like story. What?
What happened to Splinter?
Oh, no. It was a story that went on where they had gotten, where at least one of them, Leo, got abducted and brainwashed. But in this case, they all got brainwashed and it led to something, and Casey Jones died when he shouldn't have. And basically it just leads to things going to hell. And by the end of it all, the turtles are restored. Dominic, we were talking about last round, and we'll get back to that later. But yeah, everyone is dead except for the turtles, but now they have to live with the grief that they caused their father's deaths.
Yeah, like it's a like I said, I'll say this with IDW. I'll tell you this. They're a comic publisher who I didn't expect to last as long as they did,
Yep.
even when they started out. And I'm shocked they have, because for various reasons. But
I think it was the Turtles, Sonic, eventually MLP, especially MLP. MLP, I think, was the biggest shining arm
I'll
that
say
kept them
this.
going.
And Ghostbusters.
Oh, and Ghostbusters.
I'll say this: they ultimately, the biggest failure, and I'll always say what IDW's biggest failure is. They never developed a Spawn or Hellboy of their own.
Exactly. They relied too much on the other IP licensed IPs that
They
unfortunately
tried to develop their IP. Well, here's the thing: their original IP,
Lock and Key, and do they still own Zombies versus Robots, or is that gone?
I don't know.
Because I'm wondering, why is it at Boom or wherever it's at now?
They never were able. But anyway, they tried to make their comics more suited for movies and TV, and they never developed an iconic, original, ongoing character everyone wanted to follow. And I think those are one of those things you need in comics.
I think that explains I think that explains their failed attempt at creating a multiple universe with the whole Hasbro idea.
Yeah,
Hasbro universe.
I think one of the things with the Hasbro universe is that it's like this. One, they wanted to be this all original, like, new takes on these franchises. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the market where they're mostly selling would remember the older versions. So they should have tried to play a bit to both crowds.
Yeah.
That way it's like this. We have a bit like Solid Foundation. Hey, these are like some of the old toys you remember. And then as the trades come out, introduce newer stuff. That way they're in bookstores. People would check them out. It's one of those things of just like, oh, a kid is going to pick up Mask. Who, I know Mask.
Yeah,
I know Mask as well, but even I had no interest in picking it up.
I'm a big fan of Mask as well. I've been a fan since I was a kid. But when I found what they did with Mask and they made the changes they made, I'm like, okay, you guys went too far with the changes for Mask.
Yes.
Honestly, I actually had a pitch I was going to try and put them where I actually had like a pretty good solid pitch for a new version of Mask where it would reveal that Matt Tracker is actually related to Miles Mayhem. He's his father-in-law.
Ooh.
That's quite interesting.
Oh, but yeah, though, I mean, I agree with that completely. And again, sometimes they really nail it. Again, like MLP, they had a great creative team, and they've had a good, consistent. They've never reached the peaks that they originally had, but you weren't going to. But they had a good, consistent run. Even when they did the season 10 stuff, it still started off good. Just again, COVID shot that, unfortunately, but. Again, it had some good stuff. The Ghostbusters stuff that was a slow burn, but once it took off, boom, it took off.
Can we all agree that
Back to the Future?
And Back to the Future. The Back to the Future crossovers are fantastic.
Why do you say that?
Damn.
Hold on.
Nice.
The Infestation. Talk about a clever take for a crossover, right?
Yeah.
So
can we all agree that possibly the worst use of the license they did was the G.I. Joe license?
Not at first. What?
G.I. Joe has a huge history on that one. A lot of people only focus on the later years.
Yeah, but the first, when it started, it was a good start. It was a strong start.
And to give him credit where it's due, they also gave Larry Hama his own containment title.
Yes.
Which is good.
Yeah.
And they were almost ready to reaching up to 300 finally to wrap it up.
I'm shocked that we can say that there's a G.I. Joe comic that went up to 300 issues, but hey, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Of course, but then Stilton's run happened, and oh boy, that guy.
Yeah, but I would say though, but the starting point, especially when you had the mystery about they kill off Cobra Commander and who's going to take over, it was because they set him up as oh, he's a mantle. They actually set him up as a mantle, not an established person. And yeah, you had the Cobra Civil War. That was a good start.
Yeah, no, with everything going on, I'll say this: like the IDW GI Joe had a lot of good stuff in it. If you're willing to look at it, at the very least, there are some moments like Helix. But no, they were.
Yeah, it's just
Again, it's as it went on. It's as it went on that it became.
I'll say this: GI Joe definitely wasn't even the worst license they ever picked up.
What would you say that is?
If I had to think about it, like in terms of, because here's the thing: you want to know what comics they did? Because I decided to look. Because okay, I do bouts of research for my threads.
Yep. And I'm always impressed by that. I'm always impressed by the research you do.
And I often post my research to Twitter just because I'm like, okay, we're gonna go on this journey together. You'll see like what I find along the way, and maybe this will come up later in something else. Not all the time, but I found 24 comics, CSI comics. Yeah, they did CSI comics.
Wait, I remember the CSI ones. I think I remember the CSI ones. Wasn't there one where they actually, that was notorious for them killing off Rich Johnson?
Something like that. I don't know.
That's the only one that people remember is that one because it was Joe Quesada who was fed up with his leaking.
I mean, CSI comic, you might make that work as a mystery comic because
24. That's too.
Yeah, 24.
You can't do that.
I mean, maybe graphic novel, maybe.
Maybe a backstory, yes.
Okay, guys. They had Dragon Age comics.
Okay, I do recall those.
Can we all agree?
No, wait, I'm thinking about Dungeons and Dragons. My mistake.
Can we all agree that the most disappointing license they picked up was the ROM comic?
No, I do not blame them for the ROM one because you couldn't do any of the Marvel stuff. You couldn't. All you had was ROM and the Dire Wraith.
So bad for the ROM stuff because that's just a lose-lose for.
Oh yeah, that was lose-lose because you had everything that people love is at Marvel.
But yeah, remember when they announced it, people were hyped up for it. People were.
Yeah.
I might have to get going for a second, guys.
Okay, go ahead. If you want to get something, you said you had food.
Yeah, like right now I'm having a late dinner because family stuff came up, so I had to take care of that. But
go ahead and eat. Don't worry, we'll keep talking by then.
I'll be back in a bit, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. So Bianca, you're welcome to join in. Sorry.
No, it's I'm enjoying listening. I've only seen the shows. I haven't had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic, but I
didn't go over this.
Trade.
Weren't you there for this?
No,
you weren't. You weren't there for this when we were talking about it because I did a video talking about this.
Yeah. Don't worry, I saved the Pro Teaches Noobs playlist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my little video thing.
I'm sure most of us grew up with the 80s cartoon.
Yep.
And funny thing about Transformers,
I love a lot, just about as much as the different incarnations as much as I do Transformers. You know what I mean? Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, G1 was the best." Yeah, but I always feel like you've had so much history that much like Transformers, I have my own history up in my head of how to handle, especially Cybertron.
Yeah.
Because there's been so many versions.
Like how I have my own history of how to handle DC Universe.
Well, that goes without saying.
Yeah. Like, about going back to Ninja Turtles, we already had Ninja Turtles available on rental stores here in Egypt, but when they finally aired it on TV, it was a big deal. First, they aired it on Ramadan, which is like a big event for people who want to watch TV. Because when you break the fast eating breakfast, we watch on TV while we eat.
Yep.
And it was sponsored by Pizza Hut.
Oh yeah, well yeah, Pizza Hut always had a good deal with the Ninja, but yeah, this I got here was the which anniversary was this? This was the did it say which anniversary it was? No, it does not say which anniversary, but it was a reprint, a colored reprint, and it's a phenomenal color reprint. Let me do a good. The cover is a very different cover, of course. It's a completely redone cover.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Oh, that's
Just
awesome.
look at that color.
Nice.
Oh, when their bananas were all red.
Yep. Well, they were always all red in the Mirage. They never colorized them in the Mirage. But people always forget that Shredder, he dies at the end of the first issue.
Oh.
Yeah, he died. He actually got. He was their first enemy, and I am here. Come and face your doom. And first he beats up the turtles individually, and they realize we got to act as a team. So they do. They get the better of him. He then they offer him the chance to commit seppuku to keep his honor. Instead, he takes out a thermite grenade, ready to throw it at them. Donatello is the one who knocks him right off, and whoosh!
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he's dead. He stayed dead. The only time they brought him back was these worms that were keeping him alive.
Ew.
Yeah, and you even have the Shredder has been shredded.
That's one of the things that annoyed me about. I love the movie, but one thing that annoyed me about that as well as episode of the cartoon is that the Turtles could never beat him in a fight. They had to.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the original '80s cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he eventually did start to win, but only once he became a complete goofball.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that always the thing with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And almost all
Not
of the
always.
ones that I've seen, they couldn't. They always had trouble fighting Shredder.
Oh yes, you're right. They always did. No. Hominus dead. Not maybe dead. He was dead. These worms brought him back in an event that led to the chasing off the turtles until they went to New Hampshire, much like it. Basically, the first live-action movie took a lot of the first 25 issues, but bits and pieces. And eventually they returned to New York, where Leo faced him and took him out by decapitating him.
Which they did in the 2012 2003 cartoon.
But that one was a very different Shredder, and that's what they always love about Eastman Lair. They make it very clear: don't copy any other prior versions. Make it your own.
In the first '90s live-action movie, it was Splinter who defeated the Shredder.
Yes.
Yes.
And technically it was Casey. Oops.
He just pissed him off.
Which they paid a nod to in the 2012 cartoon.
Yes.
Yep. Which was more serious because.
Oh my god.
Hello.
Welcome back. That was fast.
So I have to wait a bit more, but I'm gonna. Since I'm waiting, I'll talk.
Right. Well, we were just talking about the early Mirage Turtles and how the various incarnations. We're getting back to Turtles, and I just talked about how Shredder died in the first issue.
That's like the first thing every fan finds out about when they read the comics first.
That Shredder died, and then he was brought back by worms.
Kind of like how in the original Popeye strips, Luto wasn't the main antagonist.
Nope. But thanks to the Fleischer shorts, he was. Technically, Popeye wasn't even the main character at first.
No, he was. He wasn't.
What were you say, Dave?
Actually, oh god, that's one comic. I have a friend online who talks to me over DMs on Twitter. Really cool dude. And he's been helping me look at some of the early Popeye stuff, which is very fascinating to look at.
Oh yeah, it is. Come on, God turns off the universe, and yet Popeye doesn't because he eats the spinach.
Well, the problem, like I said, the only issue is that I haven't really done anything with it because it's 80 years of comics. So,
at least with Marvel and at least with DC, you have different ads you can divide it into.
Especially since unlike most comic strips at the time, the simple theater strips were serialized.
Oh, very. That's one of the important things about them that people don't realize about stuff. Comic strips are one of those things I want to do more stuff on because they're very. A lot of people don't realize how important they are. One of the big things I'm planning on is a thread on the Comic Code Authority, and I want to talk about the divide between comic artists and comic strip artists.
Oh, good God, yes, there was such a divide. There were some crossovers. Some artists did want both, but yeah.
Well, one of them wanted to do both, but he couldn't hack it. Thank you, Bob Kane, and fuck you, Bob Kane.
Let's not go into that, but Right, but
I don't know anything
yeah,
about it, so.
what do you guys think of this?
Oh, I didn't buy it yet. Oh.
I need to read it.
It is good. It is so surprisingly good.
Gonna get the trade
basically, it's actually
paperback.
good. So basically, it's actually good. Unlike the
Like
crossover
the actual in space crossover with Next Mutation.
which
I'm a
sucks,
certified certified.
which
That
sucks
was an
because
very-
it's a fantastic season.
Okay, can I give you one spoiler from this? Can I give you guys one spoiler from this?
Sure.
I don't mind.
Shredder actually gets the Dragon Zord coin and morphs.
Oh. I saw that posted, so that sounds so much a spoiler to me, but I want. But
Yeah, you're just like, holy shit!
I need
I'm
to
gonna buy
like I
it,
said,
and I'm gonna brag to my dad
Look,
about it.
I'll
I'm like,
just have
I
to
got
add
a
it to the-
comic.
I just have to add it to the ever-growing reading pile of stuff I have to read for my Twitter.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I also have this.
Always
Ooh,
good.
Usagi
I have
Yendo.
that collection at home.
Yep, and
Oh,
wait.
Oh.
nice.
Awesome.
Yep.
Oh,
I realized I
I've
didn't bring this with me for him to sign. I
No.
realized I was like,
You know, a lot of-
"Doi!"
You brought up Usagi Yojimbo, and this reminds me. The cartoon premiered on Netflix, and I haven't seen a single person talk about it yet.
Wait, there was a cartoon?
Yeah, there's a
There's a new one?
Netflix cartoon.
Don't get excited. Don't get excited.
Oh,
Please don't.
Because it takes place in the future, starring a
oh,
descendant.
Space Usagi!
No, it's like a middle-ish. It's a new Usagi who's a descendant, but not Space Usagi.
Oh God!
Wait, is this new?
and it's
Yes.
CG.
Yeah.
Oh jeez!
Wait, is this the good thing that was confirmed? I thought it was a movie.
No,
It's a series. It's on Netflix. It premiered, and I forgot to watch it because
nobody they didn't really promote
I
it.
was like, you know
No
what?
one-
I should spend the night watching Pennyworth.
Oh,
So
yep.
it's not the original Usagi.
No.
Then
No.
what's
It's
the
not the
point?
original. Honestly, I think we're just gonna have to live with the best adaptation being the 2003 cartoon.
Yeah.
It should have been Usagi's Sun Adventures or whatever the heck.
Kotaro, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, but, and of course,
Yes.
Oh, yeah, always good.
I don't want to
I
say
need
this is one
number
of the
3.
best story, but yeah, especially part 3. Part 3, that's what won my friend Tristan over. She hated the turtle, so on my birthday you were there, Bianca, right?
Yes.
Somebody hated.
Okay, here's why. It's a petty reason. She doesn't fully hate it, but it's the reason why because she's a big Constantine fan. And then when Injustice 2 was coming out, there was this big hype, and she had heard that they were going to have announced Constantine as it. So she goes through this whole boring stream waiting for them to do the reveal trailer. And what they see, she sees someone with a trench coat, and then it turns out it's she was just like, "Fuck you guys! You took the spot from Constantine."
Oh wow. I don't.
But
know
don't
what
worry.
I-
Again, she admitted it wasn't as bad. She didn't really hate it as much.
I gotta admit, that's kind of funny because I can't imagine John in a fighting game. It would basically just be him insulting the other fighter.
No,
and then-
I think he'd be using magic. He'd be using magic.
John is not like.
Or have Zatanna or Swamp Thing as support.
John just calls in Swamp Thing, just like my swampy buddy will protect me.
Yeah.
But seriously though, I just loved Part 3. Part 3 is my favorite of that trilogy, especially with how Krang is.
Ooh, that is cool.
Yeah, Krang turned the Antimatter into his new. He said he killed the Antimatter and made his suit into his new robot body.
Well, to be fair, who hasn't killed the
Who hasn't?
Anti-Monitor?
Darkseid's killed him.
No, that's actually.
But they call it Crisis in a Half Shell.
No, yeah, but like I said, John Constantine, he uses trickery and guile than overt magic, and that's kind of the fun of his stories. He's kind of a con man, and that's what I like about them.
True.
But it would be funny to see Jon in a fighting game, kind of like how Phoenix Wright is. I would admit that would be hilarious.
Oh, I gotta ask you, did you read this?
Yes, I have.
This is batshit insane, isn't it?
Okay, I'll speak to it as a guy who likes Tom Scioli's work, and I knew what it was going in. It's basically, what if we allow somebody to make an insane Silver Age throwback book
where he's playing with the toys, literally like a kid playing with the toys.
Yeah, with Tom Scioli's stuff, he kind of is very much like one of those, you know how like some directors work in low budget B movie styles as a choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's Tom Scioli as a creator. He likes looking back at those old, oh god, GoBots, which has the most insane, the most trollish ending to Transformers ever.
Yes! Where they set it up like, oh, the GoBot created the Transformers by seeding planets throughout the multiverse, and they basically established,
Starscream is literally created from the parts of Leader 1 and Sidekill.
Wow.
And they say you have a Bumblebee, and you have an Optimus-like guy.
Road Rage and Bug Bite. Bug Bite actually is now a canonical character in Transformers.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Okay, let me. Oh god, do I have to explain Hasbro's entire purchasing history?
No. I get it, but you know what my first introduction to his artwork was?
Godlane. You have the hardcovers too?
All three of them, yes.
Same
And
here.
I want to talk about this one day.
Good shit.
Yeah. Because since we mentioned the Yojimbo cartoon, I want to go on a rant about Netflix and how they treat their animators. But most of all,
I think so many people are aware of that already.
But most of all, they canceled Bone.
God fucking damn it! I know.
I was so excited. That was why I was excited.
And he's given up now. Jeff Smith has pretty much given up trying to get it adapted, and that breaks my heart.
Yeah, I see the art he did.
Saddest fucking thing.
And the Telltale came close. They got through 2, but he didn't like where they were going, so he pulled the plug.
Oh, okay, that explains that, because I was wondering, how could Telltale lose Bone but gain The Walking Dead?
Because Jeff did not like how it was going. I think he just felt like, even for the basic thing is the idea was they had to make some of the dialogue ancillary dialogue for you to talk. You walk up to the character and talk to them, and you had made some of it optional dialogue. I don't think he liked that. Now, Grant, what are you supposed to do, right? You can't make it too much new dialogue.
Well, I think I get the point. I honestly think that, look, it's Jeff Bone. It's Jeff's baby.
Jeff Bone, you was a Jeff Bone. That's a completely different creator.
Sorry, I said Jeff Smith Bone.
No, you do know about Jeff Bone.
Yes, I do know about Jeff Bone. Bone is one of those important comic books because, my God, it was around when I was a kid.
I remember the Disney Adventure stuff.
So do I. I remember.
That's where I first found out. I think that's what a large majority of people found out was from the Disney Adventure stuff.
You look like you want to talk, Bobby. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, basically, Bone is a type of comic that fits great as an anime series.
Oh,
it does.
And
look,
one thing I loved about Bone is that it's one of those comics, one of those works of comic book work that you can attract any.
Okay, I gotta get going. I'll be back.
Okay, don't worry. Keep going, Bob. Keep going, Bob.
Like Bone is one of those works of comic book fiction that works so well, even whether you're that would work so well with people, whether you're an American comic book fan, fan of comic book, a fan of manga.
Bianca, do you know about Bone?
Yeah, I've seen it in libraries.
Have you read it?
No, I was.
Yeah, the funny thing is, it starts off as this cute little slice of life that becomes this big, huge epic on par with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's a really great comic series, and it's highly recommended.
If only the complete color edition didn't cost like through the nose.
Yeah. Your cheapest option is to buy the complete edition, the complete collection, which is black and
white. Yeah, that is cheap. If you want the color edition, that's like $150. I'm like, geez, with the coloring that expensive?
Yeah. which is one of the which is one of the things that's hurting American comic books nowadays.
Expensive coloring when you could do black and white.
Mm,
Oh,
very expensive.
speaking of Jeff,
Ooh, this was
and look,
Oh,
signed by
nice.
the man himself, all 4 issues. And I told him this. I told him if there was ever be an anime, and out this was before the actor passed away, but you know who I told him I always saw as the voice for his Talkie Tawny?
Who?
Dean Stockwell.
Oh.
You know, from Quantum Leap. Al from Quantum Leap. Al.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I always thought he could have done a good job as Tawny because, I mean, well, just look at him.
Yeah.
This old wizard-like guy.
Yeah, what? Yeah, basically, basically, even though I'm more of a fan of the Ansro Tiger Tawny.
Oh, yeah, but this worked.
This worked. In this type of story, it worked.
Yeah, in the established story, it worked. On. I remember in school, most people didn't read comics, but at every book fair, so many people would buy and read Bone. Exactly! Wasn't that one of Scholastic's first forays into comics was publishing Bone? That's why I saw it, yes!
That's why I've heard.
Seriously. Yeah, and the fact that became, again, you would never have thought when it started off. You see these 3 cousins, these weird whatever creatures they are, they're bones, but they're just wandering around after being chased out of Boneville, and eventually they end up, again, part of this big, huge epic that has very little to do with them, but at the same time, it helps save everything, the whole valley.
Basically,
and no one knows. No one's going to know.
Basically, it's kind of like a more darker version of the type of what we see in shows like Amphibia or Alpha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. And it's just, my God almighty. And again, it deserves so much of love. Oh, you want to know another thing that I wish IDW did more with Transformers?
What?
Their evolutions, which was supposed to be their Elseworlds. This one done by Chuck Dixon. It was basically, what if the Transformers woke up during the Industrial Revolution?
Ooh.
The best part is, though, it ends where they just wake up, they duke it out with the Decepticons, and then they go back to sleep. So it could have been Elseworld or could have been its own little side story, you know? But yeah, but get this. It was Bumblebee and a few Autobots against Starscream and some of the Decepticons. But no Megatron, no Optimus. There was just a few of the second class ones.
Oh, I love, and it's like, that was, also, nice. Well, that looks cool.
Yeah. This is what's his name? Guido and Guidi.
Ooh.
One of the old, Marvel artists.
Yeah, I was like, that's so cool. Also, one Transformer run I'm particularly interested in reading is the Shattered Glass one, which alternate universes.
Oh, I just read through that, the new one. What'd you think about the new one?
I haven't read the new one yet, but I heard people talk about it. And
it was all right. It wasn't the greatest, but it was all right.
Okay, I'll really note it. One of the things it's just that with IDW's run on Transformers, like, even though some people had issues with the More Than Meets the Eye run, it was really successful.
Oh yeah. Oh, and let's not forget.
Yes.
Wrapping up the original Marvel run, and of course it led to this.
Yes. And like.
Wait, Bianca, are you at all into Transformers?
Yeah, I was a fan of the Transformers.
Well, yeah, this is a continuation of the old Marvel comic where they wrapped it up and they finally bring it from issue 80 to issue 100.
But
nice.
They went a completely different route than I expected.
Well, it was a completely different route than even Simon Furman had in mind. It was after all those years, like over 30 years of waiting and developing for him to come back and do this. But he felt like, let's give it just some kind of a send-off. So, yeah, it's 4 different story arcs leading up to it. Although, to be fair, there is some stuff to gripe about. It's not perfect. Yeah. It's not perfect at all.
Yeah. One of the things, it's basically, going back to More Than Meets the Eye, the most popular scene that came out of that was making Megatron a former gladiator who wanted to.
Oh, I love that! I keep that in my version. I keep that. I keep him being a gladiator. But okay, mind if I tell you a bit about my idea?
Yeah.
He was a gladiator. Now, the way I go with the notion that there was the caste system, and eventually you were having, while the Autobots were not paying attention. They were unaware of how people were grumbling. Megatron felt like I am a warrior of the people, or he was Megatronus at first. And now, of course, he took the name. That wasn't his given name. But eventually he worked his way up to the gladiators so he can soon make a case with the council to become the new Prime. He felt like I deserve it. And he became friends with Orion Pax, who initially shared a lot of it. He saw Megatronus as a friend until he heard what Megatronus had in mind, which was to saying, we must wipe out everyone. All of you must step down and we must just start over from scratch. And anyone who doesn't agree with us must be wiped out. It was like once Orion heard that, he's like, I can't support you on this, Megatronus. And then he gives this big speech, and then Orion is picked to be the new Prime. Of course, he refuses it. And then he tries to explain to Megatron saying, I didn't ask for this. Megatron declares he is now Megatron and leaves, but I do not have him become the leader of the Decepticons for a long time. I have Tyrannus be the leader at first. But not Tyrannus, no, a different one. There was another one from the old Marvel one who was like a big warrior type. Ooh, you know what I'm talking about, right? He was like, well, it was before Tyrannus. Tyrannus had been the second leader. There was another leader beforehand, and he's the one who first starts it. And then eventually Tyrannus leads them through throughout most of it. And during this, Orion, he keeps on refusing. He eventually gets severely damaged and becomes Optimus, but he still refuses to be Prime. Then eventually, when Tyrannus decides, I'm going to negotiate peace with the Autobots. Now Megatron thinks he's going to give up and ruin everything we built for. No, because Tyrannus knew we are in a perfect position. They will listen. Oh, and at the same time, here's something else I've gone with, and something I'm loosely taking from War for Cybertron. I actually have it be Starscream was an Autobot. He was once an Autobot and a mentor to Bumblebee, but he felt like he fought hard in the war, and then he got stationed to the satellite where the Dark Energon is, and he thinks it's beneath him. He thinks like, this job is beneath me. Why am I here? I was leading my armies, and they settled me up here. You know, let's point out, it's one of the most important, vital sources. Of course, when Megatron attacks, he then bows his leadership, and he helps assassinate Tyrannus before they can bring about peace. Megatron then declares he's the new leader. But you want to know the biggest twist of all? What? He's trying to make it to the core, much like in War for Cybertron. Oh. And he wants to infect. Now, he thinks if I infect it with... Eddie's back.
You officially have me for the rest of the night.
I was just talking to him about my plans for Transformers, but I'm just getting to the real deviation part. Megatron, I basically take various bits and pieces here and there, but basically, much like War for Cybertron, Megatron has access to Dark Energon, and he's made it to the core. But when he's there, and Primus awakens and actually reveals to him, you have been having dreams, have you not? Warning you. And what is he turns out? Turns out Unicron had been sending these dreams to Megatron to trick him into poisoning Primus, which he sort of has. And then he says, I must go into a slumber. But before he does, he gives Optimus the major of the leadership. He sends the Decepticons far off, but not too far off. And before he can finish telling him about the last Autobot, he shuts down. Megatron then feels, he's like, I have been manipulated. I even have him say, no one manipulates Megatron. Primus, but I guess he is the first. But then when Megatron realizes we must go and wait, if Unicron's manipulating me, that means he'll be coming to Cybertron. We must go back and reinforce everything. We'll even work with the Autobots. But when they get there, the cowardly Autobots are already getting to these ships and leaving the planet, the cowards! And that makes him snap. He feels like they dare leave when we should be doubling our efforts to defend our home? And that eventually leads to the events that leads to the arc and all that. But how's that for my own little change to it? Basically, I play Megatron like. Sorry, I'm almost finished. I play Megatron like he's the type of guy who feels like he's the hero, and in many ways he is. But his methods are too extreme.
It's a good concept. I'll say that.
Definitely sounds a lot better than the Netflix show.
God, I can go on an entire thing about the Netflix shows and how they went wrong.
But what were you gonna say?
It's a little convoluted in places, but if it was told very well, I think it could actually be a very good take on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's just one of those things. It's just like, okay, there's a lot of moving parts here, but it could work.
Oh, you missed me. You missed me saying that I had Starscream be a Autobot first.
Oh God, I actually have a character idea I really want to do if I ever get a chance at Transformers. Is that I want to introduce the Seeker, who is an Autobot, and his whole thing is that he keeps getting shot by his allies
because both of them don't fly.
Who assume he's just another
Decepticon.
Oh, sorry. It's like, look, guys, I wear glasses. Like, I wanted to give the one detail that he wears those, like, big 80s glasses compared to other ones. So he kind of looks a bit like Blitzwing, which also helps with the confusion.
Right. But here's what I went. Like I told them, the other two, with Starscream, I played him up. He's like, I was leading armies across and against the Decepticons, and they put me on this stupid satellite, and where almost no one is coming. This is beneath me.
I wanted, like I said,
You like my Starscream, by the way? Do you like my Starscream?
It's very good.
It's not a bad one. I like I said, I'm a huge Transformers fan, as people can tell from my Twitter sometimes. Where I
love this.
Yeah, it's great shit. I can't wait for that third-party version that's secretly Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh, have you seen that Flash cartoon by James Farr, the Transformers?
No.
Look it up. Look it up.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. James Farr is the guy who's done the Zombie. Zombie was an X series.
Oh, that dude.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, I remember that. I actually have a couple. I saw that on Newgrounds way back in the day.
Oh, yep. I love that. I've been trying to get an interview with the guy, but I did do a whole video, and I have both him and the voice of Dirge, both favorite and follow me.
Nice. As I have been the occasional consummate heel to some Transformers fandom on occasion. I don't want to be, but you're just like, man, I really like this model kit. I wonder what the oh god.
Oh, by the way, James drew this. Oh wait. I mean, it's all right. I hate when it does that. It does the full screen. I don't.
Oh, that is cool. That's a nice.
Marshmallow Man.
Like I said, as a TF nut, recently I got I'm actually building a Magic the Gathering deck with Grimlock as
Nice.
with the yeah.
Can I tell you one thing I cannot stand when people complain about Windblade? I like Windblade.
Okay, I think my issue with all right, here's the thing. I like some versions of Windblade.
Yes. I liked her in that Transformers Star Trek comic.
She has had great written appearances, and if you actually dig into her, she can be fine.
Yeah.
The problem is, I feel like she was pushed as a constantly recurring character in things, and it kind of made everyone burn out on her quickly.
Especially when people want more RC, not this new girl.
Well, it's like this. RC is kind of like, okay, if there's a girl character in Transformers, it's RC. And I know people.
It should be Alita 1. No, Alita 1.
Look, Alita 1 was. Alita 1 has the problem of being like Alpha Trion, is that she's very much guest star fodder. No offense to her.
Unless they make her Black Arachnia.
Me and Dave actually talked about RC and her weird origins, I'm talking about
I
the
don't know my
Marvel
favorite.
UK one.
Sorry. I tell you, I know my favorite version for RC is I like her when she's more the warrior, like in the Transformers Terminator crossover. Which that was I cannot believe how amazing that was. I did a Pro Teachers Noob, one of my videos, where I went over that, the Mars Attacks one, Back to the Future, and the Ghostbusters one. But everyone agreed they loved the Terminator one. That was their favorite.
The thing, RC, Simon Pullman has weird histories RC because his thing is that he thinks the Transformers should be genderless, which
makes sense. That makes sense.
So in the
especially when it started.
So, in the Marvel UK one.
Oh, sorry. What were you say, Dave?
So my take on Simon Furman's treatment of RC is because here's the thing. I think let's just be fair. Because here's the thing. I don't want to come off like I'm defending it because
I get it. It is complete. Wait, Bianca, do you know what we're talking about? Do you have no idea what we're talking about?
We're still talking about Transformers, aren't we?
Yes, but do you know about what Simon Furman did with RC in the IDW universe?
I don't even know who that guy is. I'm just looking at this sugar nip. Reminds me of The Hunt, and I'm trying to remember where that reference is from.
Basically, it reminds me of Simon Furman is basically the definitive comic book Transformer writer.
Even though he didn't start it, he came up later on.
Yeah.
Like, the guy basically invented most of the mythos that we draw on.
Or expanded a lot of the mythos.
Well, he came up with... Like, he invented Primus. He invented the first 13 Transformers.
Yep, he did that. He introduced that. He expanded more on the Matrix of Leadership.
He worked on both the American Marvel run and the UK Marvel run.
Galvatron! He made Galvatron his own standing character.
Which was admittedly something he had to do because they weren't telling him that he was Megatron.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
But okay, so
darn you, Hominis.
All right.
Bianca doesn't know.
I'll say this: when I did the thread on IDW Transformers, because I have a thread on it, of course, because of reasons. I did get somebody comment who comment that I was very even-handed about it compared to a lot of other people,
which is fair.
Because it's like, look, I'm not saying it was the best ever. But I don't think Simon Furman's run should be entirely defined by the RC moment.
No. Well, again, we should let Bianca know what we're talking about.
So basically, Simon Furman did two versions of how RC came to exist. Mm-hmm. One in the Marvel UK run, and one in the IDW one.
But the IDW one is the one everyone's throwing their shit over because I can say it. Basically, he decided to have it be, he sees them as genderless. So what did he decide to do? Have it be that, it was G-Axis, right?
G-Axis, yes.
Yeah, G-Axis!
Oh, no, wait. I think it was, I gotta look it up. I think it was either Thunderwing or G-Axis.
I'm pretty sure it was G-Axis, but either way, someone took RC, remember, they were genderless, and gave her a gender. Made her female.
Yeah.
Against her will. Yeah, it's one of those things. Again, I get where he was going from. It wasn't on a protest, although you can get the idea where he would think it was. But it was more of a case of he just thought this is how you would do it. If you were to actually give them a gender, that's how they would feel. And again, I get where he was going with it, but it was not the right way to do it.
The best way I describe it is that he basically wanted to write. Okay, because I think it comes from.
He wanted his cake and eat it too.
Well, not necessarily cake and eat it too.
So he wanted to make it genderless, but made one female.
Yeah, because RC's a popular character.
Oh yeah, people love it. And unfortunately, the only time he's done it right in the States that wasn't IDW, she was killed off during Regeneration 1. It was just like dead body.
So, I think here's the thing. I honestly kind of get like being forced to do RC because she didn't have a toy, but they still had to push her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was written to be the girl character.
Yeah.
And that's not always fun to write.
Yeah. And again, but that's why I prefer her. I like her as the warrior. I like her as the warrior type.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just like, okay. Because here's the thing. I think Simon Furman wanted to try his best with the idea, and he was like, how do I make a character who I don't think makes sense make sense?
Yeah.
And
And this was his way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Marvel UK version wasn't any better. Basically, the Transformers made the Marvel UK version. The Autobots made her because they received complaints by feminist activists.
Yes. So I think this. I still think the IDW, in the way it's written, it's not as under protest as the UK version, but it's still far worse than what was done in the UK version.
The thing is, I had to look up to see how much writing of, because I actually want to one day return to RC and talk about her in full. And I know that's going to be like a shit-talking thread, and some Transformers fans are probably going to be mad at me for trying to dissect it as much as I do.
She's one of those characters that people like her because she's the girl Autobot, but at the same time, it's like...
I feel... Look, it's a lot of issues that I feel like Simon Furman... Because here's the thing. Look, she was written in 2007, and let's just be honest, we weren't informed on every... Well, 2005, actually. Like, the early 2000s.
Yeah.
We weren't informed on everything, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm not expecting an old British dude to be perfectly informed on gender politics in 2005.
Exactly. And even then, while people had problems, it wasn't until Windblade's creator made a big stink about it that people finally realized.
Honestly, here's the thing. IDW realized they made a mistake and downplayed her hard afterwards. Like,
but again, it wasn't Marjan Bennett, I think, who did it, or brought it about.
They felt they had to address it because they were still relying on the IDW continuity overall.
Yep.
And
even when they booted him and did All Hail Megatron.
Yeah, because here's the thing. IDW kept to the continuity for better or for worse. Like when they did when they integrated the G.I. Joe stuff, for one.
That's why they had to wrap it up with Unicron.
It was
No. In the UK version, it was down with the patriarchy stuff. Not so much when it came to the IDW version.
The IDW version ended up getting into trans issues, which I hate saying that because, Transformers.
I get it. When even Linkara doesn't blame Simon, it tells you that if anyone would call him out and bash him, I think Linkara would have, given how political he can be, but he did. Even he's like, no, I don't see it as him being intentional. It was him being ignorant and not realizing how.
Because Simon can be on the ball with female characters sometimes. Like, he hasn't been the worst ones I've ever read. Mm-hmm. It's just that RC, I think, is just this weird character for him, more or less. And sometimes there's just a writer who's like, I don't get this character.
Oh, yeah, but they're forced to have him.
Yeah.
And remember, the IDW one is the one which has those romantic relationships between two male Autobots.
Yeah. And didn't he come up with that?
No.
Oh, no.
Simon didn't do romance. Like, it's just never been his strong suit, to be fair.
Right. Which is true. That a lot of creators is not always their strong suit.
And to be fair, I'd rather a writer not try to highlight their weaknesses all the time. So let's just be fair there.
Yeah, it just seems to be a big thing. It seems to be a bad thing that romance. You don't see proper romance done well in comics, which is a shame because romance used to be a major genre in the comic book industry.
Oh, yeah, but nowadays, because people don't have proper relationships, I feel, they don't know how to write them.
I honestly think the problem is a couple things, and this is just my take on it. Mm-hmm. One, in general, I think superhero comics just absorbed romance comics. I did think they just did.
They had no choice. They had no choice for a lot of reasons.
A lot of people also don't realize, because there's been several attempts to revive romance comics, and people never
the
ask,
70s one.
Well, not even just the 70s. People never ask why did they go away? They never look at comic strips are filling that niche.
There's that
and graphic novels.
Not that though, but they were all the same.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think if romance comics did this in the 50s, they would have survived, and none of them did. Superheroes did. They became soap operas.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, back in the old days, they had to make them done in ones.
Yes.
The reason I mentioned graphic novels is because right now one of the most popular romance graphic novels right now is a UK webtoon comic called Heartstopper, which has a Netflix adaptation right now.
Yeah, no, and I think romance comics could work. It's just that right now we're kind of just in this weird area where not a lot of the people writing it know how to do it, and also
Yeah.
a lot of them are basically. Here's the thing. One of the problems when people write soap opera storylines is that they often go for what they think should happen, not what's natural.
Oh God! Oh God! You're giving me some Archie Sonic flashbacks. When
God!
Like, here's the thing.
Now, of course, granted, some of that was forced by Sega. Let's be honest. Some of that was forced by Sega.
Because
so much headache during that run.
Because, like, okay, it's like they look at stuff and are like, oh, we should break up characters to cause drama. And it's like, no, you should not do that. You have to have a couple power couples.
Yes. It's like, may I bring this up? I know you talked about when you did your Spider-Man and Mary Jane art stuff. Can I tell you the one run I feel really, really damaged Spider-Man and for the long run, because it's what caused people to really think about the bad Parker luck for the worst of it and made it more dominant than it originally started off as, was Marv Wolfman's run. I think Marv Wolfman did a lot more harm for Spider-Man in the long run than people think.
I don't want to insult.
I'm not hating what he did. I'm not saying what he did was crap. I'm saying, sorry.
Yeah, no, I didn't know how to. Believe it or not, I actually considered expand. I for the thread, I actually considered expanding on Marv Wolfman's tenure.
Right.
But it was already long enough.
Right. What were you gonna say, Bob?
Marv Wolfman had a Spider-Man run?
He's the one that first broke up Peter. Yeah, he's the one who did Black Cat. He's the one who broke up Peter and MJ and then tried to have Peter and Betty Brant have an affair.
Hold it. He also created Big Wheel, the best Spider-Man villain.
Big Wheel!
Let's acknowledge.
And he's the one who also did The Return of the Burglar.
Okay, there are stories I like in Marv Wolfman's run, but he's
the one who gave him the perpetual. Everything's just dumping on him worse and worse, and that set the standard going forward.
No, he's definitely one of the creators who did, and I will admit that. Denny O'Neil didn't help either. His run.
No, he did not.
Excuse me, I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Go right ahead.
Yeah. Like, I like Denny O'Neil. I respect him. I have his entire Question run in trades.
Oh, I still have Iron Man 200.
So, like, but
his Iron Man stuff is actually phenomenal.
His Spider-Man run isn't also the worst. I've read much worse because, look, as a guy who...
Okay, let me ask, which is worse from him? His Spider-Man or his Daredevil?
I honestly think his Daredevil run's technically worse.
Yes, because it's what derailed so much that they had to bring Frank back to fix it.
His Daredevil run feels like an old
Batman Light
trying to catch up to the new guy.
Yeah, once he created that, he broke Foggy up with his wife, and she went off to be with that Tarzan-like guy, and it turned out that Foggy also had a porn stash. It's like,
what?
It was an awkward run. It did give us Dave Mazzucchelli's first work, which
which eventually led, yeah.
But so, like, let's praise some aspects there. It's not the worst comic run either.
Although, you want to know another run I would have to say that people adore, but if you actually know about the writer, you realize it's not the greatest. Anna Senti.
Oh,
especially when you know how notorious she is for shoving politics in. She was one of the earliest creators who did it, but you didn't realize it because you had good editors try to keep it reined in. But if she was off the hook, she went nuts with her politics. And she's like, she almost felt like she didn't want to do superhero books. She wanted to put in her politics.
Honestly, I'll say this. I don't think Ann Nocenti was always political based. And this is just my take on her work. Mm-hmm. I think her biggest issue as a creator was often she had too many ideas and she needed help reining them in. Because if you actually look at like series like Beauty and the Beast, it's such a weird book overall.
True. I just judge it based off of what I heard from a guy who actually edited one of her stories in one of those X-Men novels where she was told she had to do a book about his gambit, and she instead wanted to focus entirely on prison reform.
Which I guess I get the whole thing. I'm not trying to be.
The Inhumans graphic novel all over the place.
Here's the thing. I like her Daredevil run a lot. I actually will support that book. But yeah, some writers do need editors, and Ann Nocenti just always is one of those creators who.
Yeah, look at her stuff on Catwoman.
Actually, a good example is the funny thing with Ann Nocenti. She was an editor. She started as an editor.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
Yep. But one book I want to show up that we can talk to a little bit later.
Oh.
That's funny. You went from it's a guilty pleasure. It's a guilty pleasure.
Look, that is one of those comics that did I actually ever talk about it?
I don't think you did.
I think I did at one point, but Jesus,
it's one of those edge. Like the thing I know most about this comic is the Obama cover.
That was much later on. But the funny thing about this is that one, I give Jimmy Robinson this. He's one of those guys who just says, "I'm going to call out both sides." He's one of those types.
To be fair,
No, sorry.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, so with Bomb Queen, here's the funny story about that one, because I actually know a bit about the publication history, and it comes from a place of frustration for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Jimmy Robinson actually started with very artsy, manga-like books at Image, but no one ever talked about them.
Oof. So he did this in protest.
Not necessarily protest, but he got attention. That's for sure.
The funny thing, he's the only one continuing the Shadowline books whenever he does Bomb Queen.
Well, one Shadowline book I actually consider talking about it because it only was an odd book to me was Peter Panzerfaust.
I've heard of that.
It's Peter Pan, I think, in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, instead of the Lost Boys are a regiment.
Oh,
that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and it was actually going to get a movie. The reason I never read the book, shockingly, I know, I didn't read this book that I talk about, which
it happens. There's a lot of stuff I talk about that I haven't read yet.
But when I was working at a comic book store, we would often be like, "Oh, look, it's Peter Panzerfaust again.
Mm-hmm.
Will people buy it this month?" Some people did. It had its fans, but you know. But yeah, it was always an interesting book, and I read it. Okay, I read a little bit of it. It's interesting enough that was like the Shadowline book that was coming out at the time. It has some.
Is that part of the Shadowline universe, though? That's what I was talking about.
So people want me to talk about the Ben Riley. People want
we can get to Ben Riley in a bit. We can get to Ben Riley in a bit.
Yeah.
One thing, Dave, I want to mention something because I already told both Robert and Bianca this, but about Bone. So I want to tell you this. Like I told them that Bone is that one book, one of those comic books that attracts all fans, regardless if you're an American comic fan, a manga fan, a European comic fan.
I said basically, when somebody asked, it's like, is Bone popular? I was like, yes. There's a couple books I never try to talk about on Twitter. One of them is Watchmen.
Oh gosh. They're probably talking about Doomsday Clock or before Watchmen.
I have my own Twitter account. If I ever want to talk about Watchmen, I'll talk about it there because I need that Twitter account, so I just don't keep talking about it.
Yeah, especially in this day and age, the whole culture war nonsense with people going like, comic books were never political. Well, what about Watchmen? Watchmen isn't political like that. Or blah, blah, blah.
It's not even just that. Everybody's read Watchmen. It's like very popular. Like it's one of the most, and I feel like I have to, if I'm going to use my Twitter, I want to expose more under-talked books.
Yep. Oh, wanted to show this.
I mean, To be
No,
fair,
I actually met him.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, and to be fair, I also talk about Spider-Man, so I'm a little bit of a hypocrite, but still, I'm willing to acknowledge that.
Yep.
But
wait, is this person asking about the Ben Reilly, the recent comic, or just Ben Reilly in general?
I'll talk about the recent comic because I actually read the latest.
Well, J.M. DeMatteis returning. He's never done Ben wrong.
Honestly, here's the thing. With the new Ben Reilly comic, he did the entire Beyond comic better in 4 issues than 30 of those books.
What the hell? Why are they ignoring everything that Spencer did? I feel like they did it out of protest, like to spite him. I feel like they did this.
I feel like Nick Lowe is just incompetent.
He wasn't always.
Yeah.
I'm starting. I think here's the thing. I think he's competent despite himself. Because you want to know what I heard? Apparently, the guy used to work for Marvel Animation, and he took over. And you want to know what his first big show was?
What?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Seriously? Hold on, I gotta double check with somebody with Nick Lowe. Hold on, I gotta double check. No, not that Nick Lowe.
Yeah, no, that's also makes it hard to do research on him.
He's going bringing up the rocker. Wait, he was responsible for the next wave.
It was like
Neil Gaiman's The Eternals.
I honestly
and 1602.
That era of Marvel Animations was a mess.
Let me put it this way. I think here's the thing. You have to understand, Nick Lowe was working also with high talent.
Yes.
It's a Neil Gaiman. Yeah, he was editor, but at that point, that's like the easiest job in the world.
Although he was also the editor of X-Men before the current stuff, and I think his era was his highs and the lows was still. Did I go mute for a second?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yeah, because Hominus just simply said, "Damn, Robert went mute for 1 second." Okay, but as I was saying, but yeah, that era. If you remember right, his era of the X-Men was right around the time of Messiah Complex.
I
think. I'm trying to double check, but if that was the case, that wasn't a bad era.
Like I said, Nick Lowe, I don't know why his Spider-Man stuff is turning out like it is now. I think it's just a lot of history with stuff.
Just when the Spider-Man line start getting good again.
And here's the thing, it's kind of.
Oh, I take it back. He was doing it around the time of Uncanny Inhumans and all that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh. I would love to talk about some Dark Horses heroes sometime. Believe me, I have some plans in the future.
Yeah.
I think here's the thing. I didn't know how far back Nick Lowe actually went, because I'm just going to be honest. He's one of those guys who I'm only now noticing because of his interviews in the back of the books.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because
I just recognize him because I'm like, wait, I sometimes look at who does the editorial stuff.
And Lowe is just one of those guys, because here's the thing. Editorial, like in comics, some people have personalities and some people fade in the background, and that's just always been the case. Lowe never had really too much of a personality until all the books started becoming what they are. Amazing One is a frustrating book, and not just for Mary Jane. Mostly because here's the thing about Peter Parker's books is that oftentimes readers are meant to go along with Peter Parker's thoughts.
Yep.
And his journey. So opening with, what did Peter do? That's not how you do a Spider-Man story. You want to make sure you understand Peter. Because
to point out, he's been the editor since Spencer's run, by the way.
Yeah, and that's not a good way to start out. Like, I know they want to build mystery, but if they were going to do it, this needed to either be a weekly book to get to the mystery quicker. Because
actually, he's been the Spider-Man editor for a long time.
Since Dan Slott's era.
Yeah.
He took over during the worldwide storyline.
Yeah.
And what's frustrating?
He's also done Runaways. He's done at least the Rainbow Rowell era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Runaways.
Yeah, me too. But what frustrates me is that things are actually getting fixed. We're actually seeing Peter Parker and Mary Jane. They might get back together again. And they mentioned that the reason why Mephisto did the whole one more thing.
Yeah, Spencer's whole run was amazing. It was a phenomenal run.
And of course, they revealed that the reason why Mephisto made the whole deal in one more day is because according to
Mayday was going to kill him. I love that.
Yeah, but then this happened.
Yeah.
Again, that's why part of me thinks it was done to spite him.
Honestly, the thing with like Nick Lowe's era is I don't know exactly who's calling the shots here, because it could be someone higher up in Marvel. I'm going to be fair, and I also have to understand one thing. Running monthly comics and keeping the drama up is hard sometimes. I'm willing to acknowledge that.
Yep.
I mean, I do enough research and interviews to basically be like, okay, I'm willing to allow certain things because, look, I also look into how weekly manga is done, and that's also fucking hard too. Like a famous thing, like I remember, like in Saint Seiya, the creator had to change one of the last pages to something else in the combined release because he had a different idea to go with.
Oh,
he was gonna have Seiya fight Athena. You can look it up. I might be misremembering it, but he changed one of the endings in the combined release when he changed the idea for the next chapter.
Or what happened to the Bleach manga? Because the author was ill, like he had some illness or something.
Yeah, there's one. It happened to the Yu-Gi-Oh manga too. The reason why Zork looks the way he does.
Oh wow.
Doggy.
Yeah. Like in all seriousness, that's the reason. Yeah, no, you can actually look this up. The reason Zork looks the way he does was because the mangaka was very sick when he created him. He admits this.
And then he finally got better, and his art style changed because of it. And people were like, "What?"
Yeah, no.
Wait, for which one? For Yu-Gi-Oh?
Unfortunately for Bleach, it got worse. Unfortunately, it was worse for Bleach because the writing suffered. Because Shonen Jump were like, "We don't care you're sick. You have a deadline."
Hey, one of those prime examples when people say, "Oh, praise manga. Manga knows how to do things right." It's like they overlook when manga cons are put through shit.
The creator of Naruto and Bleach were told to finish their crap.
That's what he did. That's what Bob just said.
To bring in Black Clover and My Hero Academia. I'm sorry.
I really have to be careful with the manga thing because a lot of people get super defensive about it, and it's very hard to talk. Because
you're here. I say go nuts.
So my thing with whenever I talk about the manga stuff is that I try to be fair to both sides as much as possible. Because look, one, manga often is run weekly, so you're going to get more story content in general now. But guess what? 20 pages a week versus 20 pages a month.
Not
you
the
have
same
to
thing.
write things differently and do things differently.
It's like a comic strip except bigger.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think in those terms.
They don't. It's like when people bring up, just for an example, Ethan Van Sciver, look at what he's done with Cyberfrog 2, over 1 million. Yeah, and the book, between the book and release, how many? And you can say, oh, that's fine for one issue, but then how many other comic issues have come out since then? He hasn't released it yet. I'm pretty sure many of them have gone past 1 million in total sales by now.
And while Coming America is still being released. I never read Coming America.
Sorry, Dave, what were you saying?
Well, like I said, I often try to make that point about manga with like how different there are major differences, and also if you're reading in English, you're reading the best stuff and not the crap.
Exactly. That's what Perch says. That's what Perch says all the time. You're reading the best stuff, and this is what I keep saying. Many of these are starting to wrap up or going into their final eras and everything. Eventually, they're going to end, and we're probably going to reach another low point again with manga. How are they going to react then?
Honestly, we're kind of getting there a bit, and I haven't talked about this because I want to do more research into it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what do you mean by reading it in English is the
I mean,
best?
those that are translated, like Purchase said,
Oh!
those that are translated are usually they're picking the best of the best to translate.
Gosh dang it! I'm sorry. I should have thought up more about that.
It's fine.
Basically, what these people who praised manga and who complain about
They say, look how great they're selling, is because they're already the big mainstream stuff that's already been named.
Yeah, the way you don't know, these type of mangas that they're hyping up, they only represent like around 20% of what comes out of Japan.
Not even that. Maybe even 10% if they're lucky.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing to consider with manga to a huge extent is that right now, Shonen Jump isn't getting any new big hits.
They're not.
No.
Or they are. They're very short-lived.
And
Like
all
canceled.
the big hits are right now happening on the online platforms.
Like
Yes.
Sakamoto Days. I love that series.
Mhm.
Spy X Family is another one too.
Oh, I love that one.
You know more about that than I do.
Great manga. But right now Shonen Jump is going through this whole thing with its editorial, and I'm wondering if it's going to affect things because, I'm going to bring up Rurouni Kenshin, and now I'm not. No, hold it. I'm bringing
You're
up.
canceled.
I'm going to bring up a historical fact about it,
Yeah,
and it might make things make a little more sense in some.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when Rurouni Kenshin was running, they basically lost two major manga. You want to know what they lost?
What?
Dragon Ball and Slam Dunk.
Oh.
Rurouni Kenshin is what kept Shonen Jump alive.
That's true. Oh God, that is so true. You were right.
I won't deny it though. I will not deny it. You know,
Rurouni
like
Kenshin
you
was
said,
like-
fast.
Again, it's one of those cases where if you did not know about the creator's past, you would still love it. But once you find out about it, you're like,
Look, I'm not going to defend the creator here.
Yeah.
you can't. No.
Of course, no problem.
I always
just
held
bringing up-
Rurouni Kenshin as one of my favorite mangas. But
Once you find out about him, you're just like,
yeah.
you better not tell anyone about it. It's like when people hear saying, oh, Rurouni Kenshin has one of the best live-action adaptations. Yeah, but what about the creator?
A lot of people still don't know about that, and I'm like, how?
Rurouni Kenshin is the first long manga I've ever completed.
Me too. It was the first manga I ever completed myself.
I still never watched it or read it.
Good. Don't make yourself go through the pain we had to.
Oh, I don't blame you. And it's still going technically, isn't it?
No, it ended.
Oh, it did end? I thought he rebooted it and continued it again or something.
It's getting
New
more
anime.
chapters. I'm not reading them.
Yeah, they are doing chapters. They just haven't been translated yet, if they will at all. But there has been more stuff going on.
So let's
what's
just
the
say
Pokemon
that.
manga?
Anyway, the only reason I brought it up is that Rurouni Kenshin kept the magazine alive.
Yeah.
And right now, I feel like Shonen Jump, if and when it loses One Piece, is gonna be interesting.
Oh, yeah, because again, the creator made clear he's entering the final arc. Now, who knows how long that's going to last?
I'm glad you brought up One Piece because One Piece is one of those titles that's like it's both escapist adventure fantasy, but can also be kind of political, if you know what I mean.
That's another one Bert brings up, but everyone dismisses it when he says, like, oh, it's different. It's not. That's the funny thing is, these people, when they say, oh, it's political, it's like, you're going for a specific definition of what political is. You can't stop.
Let me say, it's never about the politics, it's how you do them.
Exactly.
Of course.
Look, and also, Sword of Will's brought up JoJo's still going. No, it's in another magazine. It left Shonen Jump years ago.
Yeah.
I actually did not know that. That's
it's not in Shonen Jump anymore.
Yeah. Even Rurouni Kenshin was kind of political. That was part of the scene.
But now, granted, that was a historic political, though.
Yeah.
Although it tried to stay in the middle, it never took one side or the other.
Oh yeah, because it's like Jonah Hex how he never took a side when it came to the Civil War, even though there should be.
Yeah.
JoJo is now sent in. I believe JoJo is published in Ultra Jump, or one of the older magazines.
Yeah. I think the Kingdom Command manga was also published in the Ultra Jump when they brought it back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I said, there's a couple like JoJo's still going, but it's not going in Shonen Jump. It's also like a couple of magazines moved to other places. It just happened.
Yeah.
Probably wanted to give them better deals or better chances of treating them better.
Yeah. Like what happened to Trigun? Trigun's original manga run, it ended on a cliffhanger. It didn't finish because the manga company closed down or something.
The magazine was canceled.
Yeah.
That just happens sometimes. Like, here's the thing: when people talk about comics versus manga, they're looking often at a very limited history of.
Yes.
Look, we're like a bunch of us are English speakers.
Mm-hmm.
We'll acknowledge that our history is always not going to be the best when it covers this thing, and I always try to look at deeper stuff in general than just like, okay, what's the popular stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I often have to look at, okay, what's the history of the creators over here? Like, and there's rights issues. Like, people forget, like, Zatch Bell has rights issues.
Mm-hmm.
How the company handles the art.
And of course, they have a popular anime series.
Yeah. And a lot of people, and the whole Kenek Akumatsu stuff, which...
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God.
I know. I'm
which
trying
one is that one?
No, yeah, Love Hina, what are the other ones? Megumi.
Megama's his big.
I was disappointed when I found out eventually, because when he said freedom of expression, because it included defending the rights of LGBTQ writers from conservatives who want to stomp on their rights to write stories, as well as defending the rights of minorities. But then he decided to make that manga about trying to defend the lowly stuff, from what I've read.
What?
That's what I've heard. I can't really confirm that.
Honestly, one of the big problems is that a lot of, look, he's defending writers respecting himself. And here's the thing. As a guy who grew up in American comics, read 2 books on the Comic Code Authority, no history of things, I kind of have to support Ken on the basis of, look, you guys don't know how bad it actually is, and at this point, censorship boards, I can't in all good in my conscience, with my history, with what I know, yes, awesome.
This is one of my favorite mangas, and if there's anything about that I just hope what you said wasn't true about him with the lolly stuff, because it's one of my favorite mangas. I hate the anime.
Because when people say, "Oh, he's fighting against censorship from the Western side," he's like, no, he's mainly criticizing the censorship from the conservative Japanese who want to, try to stop LGBTQ manga, for example.
Yeah, and here's the thing with this whole thing is people don't tend to realize is that, like I said, grass is always greener on the other side, for one.
Yes.
A lot of people, here's the thing. This is one of the reasons when I talk about the history of stuff, it's always look, I'm trying to be as honest about it as possible, trying to find sources, because let me tell you this, artists, one of the things is you have to understand these are creative fields, and creative fields, as told by artists, will often exaggerate things. It just happens. It's natural. They are storytellers, and sometimes you have to kind of go be like, okay, this is bullshit.
Right.
Keep it in mind.
Yeah.
But here's the nugget of truth that I want to tell. Thank you. You have to be very careful on that, especially in fandom. Dear Lord, I always like anytime I hear a source from a fandom thing, I basically have to look at it and be like, okay, I'm not going to believe you until I find out who you heard it from.
Exactly.
Good
Oh,
salt.
yeah. Especially when I keep hearing so many people. DC's going to shut down in June.
Or Nerdrotic basically just released a tweet saying that they did the beta switch in Moon Knight, and they showed a picture of that female character Layla having gained powers, even though it was only a 5-minute scene.
These are the same people who took that what was that heavy metal.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Oh God.
It's funny
yeah.
because I'm a person who has
yep.
watched anime and read manga first at a very young age, and then delved into comics in 2017. So I was already, taught a little bit of the anime manga stuff because that's what I wanted to learn by myself. And so it's just a weird thing that like I have to look at people who like comics or used to like comics or whatever, go to manga, and I'm like, okay, if you want to do that, you can do that, and then continually crap on comic books and think manga and
it's
anime
better.
are like.
What bothers me the most is when they act like, oh, I made the jump over. Not everyone can, but I think more people are likely to quit comics. But they say, oh, but look at the numbers. Clearly, that's all the old people going over. No, it's clearly a bunch of kids joining and reading it.
I want to bring up a point is that if you want to, I think the better comparison is between manga and European comics than American comics, because European comics they follow like the manga format, like they publish a certain serialized story in a magazine or something, then collect in trades. That's how they normally do it in like France or Belgium, for example.
Yeah, there's that aspect too. There's that aspect too, and like I said, I try to be careful because a lot of people don't realize, like I said, how much bad stuff actually does get published in manga. Believe me, there is.
I talk about it so much, and then they come at me saying I'm being intellectually dishonest, and I'm like, excuse me, I've been looking at this stuff way before you have. What do you mean?
I love to bring this. I brought this up before. I started following looking into animes back during the boom of ADV when they were just dubbing everything.
I'm
saying, how many people are going to know this stuff? How many people know this stuff that got dubbed back in the day? And I'm like, probably don't even know 1% of the stuff that came out in the 90s and 2000s. That because it's not mainstream.
When my family moved back to Egypt in the late 80s or the early 90s, anime was already a big thing in the Arabic-speaking world. Like Grandizer, it's like one of the most popular cartoon shows in the Arabic world. It's an anime series, and of course you got Captain Tsubasa, which is popular in Arabic countries. It's a football manga.
Some of the sports ones are still going.
Oh yeah. Actually, my first exposure to Captain Tsubasa was when my family lived in Kuwait.
Yeah, it was Captain Majid. From what I've heard, they named it after a famous Saudi player.
Yeah, that's actually how I knew about him.
I'm going to bring this up to you two. When I hear people say, "Oh, comics and manga are not woke," you want to know one? I brought this up to you, Bianca, so you know what I'm about to talk about. You know what's been my go-to example to tell them to shut the F up? Masters of Mixed Martial Arts.
Dude, there's.
No, but come on, you gotta be honest. That is a prime example of wokeness at the very end.
And also, don't forget Samurai 7, where the creators acknowledged that they changed the gender, they changed the sex, they changed the race of the main characters, even though they kept their Japanese names.
No, like with all that stuff, I always try to be like, okay, guys, look. The truth is, with a lot of, because look, people blame the politics and not really the talent of the creators.
Exactly.
Yes.
And let me put it this way. I always say that you have to look at and I also try to be understanding of creators. I understand that it's not always easy to do this, but I also have to say I don't want to hear Jason Aaron rant about fans ever again. So
God. I don't need him to have She-Hulk complain about, I hated being objectified.
You have a Substack now. Please use it.
Yeah, that was always the biggest one because it's like, I hate to be objectified. Like, yeah, let's look back at Dan Slott's run. How many hours did it take for them to list all the people She-Hulk fucked?
Yeah.
And then how short was it for Jen? 3 people.
And hell, me and
Poor
Robert,
Jen.
last time we did a stream together, we talked about Doctor Who, and we love Doctor Who. Like, we talked about how Doctor Who was political in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, but then you look at how
Chibnall does it. Chibnall, he sucks at
because he doesn't care about Doctor Who. He cares about using it as a like. It's like if he's a fan, he's not showing it. I mean, here's another example I would give.
Yeah.
Okay, this is something that my friend Ingrid and I found out about. If you see our video on the Godzilla anime trilogy, she went berserk. So did I because it felt. But here's my comparison: the guy who did that, who wrote it, it's the same guy who's written stuff like Madoka Magica and Psychopaths.
Yeah, Urobuchi.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Psychopaths.
But here's the thing: I realized he's very much like Ryan Johnson or Paul Feig. They are great at deconstructing stuff, but you need to give them their own individual IP to do it. If you give them an established one, with the exception of Ultraman for the guy, they're going to. They can't help it.
I hope Shin Ultraman will be a great movie.
I'll say that I don't really blame Urobuchi for the Godzilla anime because of what they were told to do.
No, they told him making giant, but when you look at the Third on Planet Eater, those politics in there were just like humans are bastards. Just wipe everyone out. What?
They were told not to have monster fights.
Okay, no, I get that, but when you go for the whole,
I
agree with that. But it's like when you're told humans are bastards and that you should give up all of.
The Godzilla anime trilogy. It's on Netflix if you look it up.
Yeah. I mean, no, don't even watch it. Go watch the other one. Singularity Point.
Yeah, there's another Godzilla anime that I would check out. I totally am blanking on the name on right.
Singularity Point is a great one.
Singularity Point. Yes,
that's what I meant. Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
They were able to bring back Jet Jaguar back.
Yeah. Titanosaurus through one of Godzilla's transformations.
I'll say this: the only issue with Singularity Point is that it is a very heady anime. Like it brings up a lot of scientific concepts. So just be prepared because you're going to know a lot more about time travel than you thought was possible by the end of it.
I'll forget everything.
Basically, like recently I got into Ultraman. Like I'm a big Ultraman fan. I'm happy to kind of big success thanks to his YouTube run. I hope the Shin Ultraman movie be good.
I'm going to trust, as weird as it sounds, I'm going to trust, look, here's the thing. It's not just Anno, it's Higuchi who did the Chimera trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the best tokusatsu movies of all time. Like this.
And they're both Ultraman fans. They're both big Ultraman fans. Also, Higuchi did direct some of the fight scenes for Ultraman Powered, which nothing against him, it wasn't his fault. It was the budgeting, and the director did not respect the source material.
Right.
Ultraman. Actually, the big issue with Ultraman Powered, Powered is the one that had Ninja Black's actor, I think, right?
Like Gunta Suji.
You know more about that than I do.
Okay.
Suji, the actor who played the human host of Ultraman, who voices Ultraman Powered in the recent English dubs of the specials they're doing. He's the son of Kosu Suji, the actor who starred those 80s ninja movies like Revenge of the Ninja.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So anyway, with that whole thing the thing about like oh god, I almost forgot.
But you get what I mean, though, right? This notion of they're so much better at deconstructing their own IPs, or the genre deconstructions.
I remember what I was about to say about Ultraman Powered. The problem with that show is that the suits were so delicate they couldn't use them well before scenes. So basically, because here's the thing.
It was a kaiju type of tokusatsu. How do you deal with a tokusatsu stuff? You make them that delicate, it's just going to...
They look really good.
Who cares if they're not practical?
Yeah. That's why Ultraman Towards the Future is better, because the show was better and the fight scene was better.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. But it's like, that makes zero sense.
Look, it happens. Sometimes priorities in production go absolutely wrong.
And yeah,
And I don't know, this is a guy who's more in the Power Ranger than he is Ultraman, but even I know that is beyond.
Look, as a general Tokusatsu fan, I've seen
Me too.
Yep. You guys, by the way, you guys should check out, because Ingrid and I finally finished. We got through all of Gamera, all of Godzilla, and all of Mothra. We went through all of them, and we just finally wrapped it up. Finally, we closed everything out by talking about the Godzilla '94 fan comic.
Oh, and Hakushi was also worked on the Heisei Gamera trilogy.
Oh, yep. Oh, yeah. But yeah, oh, geez, the Heisei era in general. Although, can I tell you this? You want to know the funniest thing is, we decided, let's watch the Mothra movies. We enjoyed Rebirth of Mothra 1. So we thought, what's going to happen with Mothra 2 and Rebirth of Mothra 2? One of the worst kaiju movies we ever saw. Second, but believe it or not, it is as bad as the ones that had mostly stock footage. Now, it's nowhere near as bad as Gamera Super Monsters, but that is like our low point. But it was so boring, so just poorly done. But then, ironically enough, when we were in the 3, one of the best kaiju movies we ever saw. We loved the third movie, and then we realized, son of a bitch, the version from King Ghidorah from Rebirth of Monsters 3 was the inspiration for the MonsterVerse version.
Wow.
Yeah, like the Rebirth of
Rebirth of Mothra.
Rebirth of Mothra. Sorry, I do a lot of Ultraman stuff, so
I know.
Okay. The Rebirth of Mothra films are such a mixed bag. I saw them actually on the Sci-Fi Channel years ago.
Yep, I remember that. I got the Blu-ray, and like I said, first one, enjoyable. Second one, train wreck. But then the third one, again, one of the best.
Buddy Smith is bringing up Change Arion. Yeah, you're thinking of Change Arion, Buddy Smith. Okay, so that one is one of my favorite toku of its time. It's written by Toshiki Ino, who is rather infamous in the Kamen Rider fandom. But I enjoy his work. He is my guilty pleasure, because, it's like you're that writer, you're like, yeah, you're bad, but I enjoy it.
Bianca, you want to give any thoughts on the tokusatsu stuff, like kaiju, sentai, all that?
Only Sentai I know is motherfucking Power Rangers.
What's
the other one you said?
Kaiju, Ultraman or Gamera. And,
whatever.
Yep. Oh, someone brought up Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. I remember watching that when it was in English. And the fact they were so close to adapting the series finale, then they got an extension that fell apart.
Gridman is not Ultraman, right? They're different,
no,
right?
Gridman is separate. That was
technically Same production.
On Ultraman.
Same production company.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. My dad liked Ultraman, though.
Okay, so here's the secret truth. Basically, it's the company working with Ultraman with the company that makes the toys for Transformers. There's Optimus Prime, who combines with Ultraman to become a giant robot.
Yep.
and also, whenever the Ultraman movies get released, they're always released by Toho, the guys who do Godzilla films.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense because remember who's the creator of the Ultraman franchise? One of the co-creators of Godzilla, Eiji Tsuburaya.
Yep.
Tsuburaya, who thanks to him, we have the Christian imagery in Evangelion.
Yeah. Yeah,
but you mentioned Evangelion. When Ingrid and I were going off on the anime trilogy, I had to point out the creator of Evangelion used Shin Godzilla as a to bled off some steam to get him, to clear his mind so we can go back to Evangelion. He didn't use it to make it worse. He decided, no, I'm going to chill out. I'm going to co-direct this movie and calm down so I can get back to doing the Evangelion movie, because he was about to have another breakdown again.
remember when the anime fandom was like, oh, look at this Christian imagery. Oh, it's an Armageddon. Oh, it's so deep and everything. But Anno's like, I was just that was actually just my Ultraman fan fiction.
Basically, basically with that one, with all that said, no, I've been to, Anno's depression. Keep in mind, it wasn't just that was making Anno break down. It was also all the legal shenanigans with Gainax.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too.
I'm also not interested in like mecha anime so much. So
Oh!
I skipped
Oh.
Evangelion. But funny enough, I weirdly like Transformers, even though that's literally mecha.
Believe it or not, I have a friend. One of my coworkers at the comic book store I used to work at is exactly like that. He's like, for some reason, Transformer just vibe with me, and that's the only one that does.
I think because they're sentient and not just robots being piloted.
I think that's a huge factor in it. And
Is that for you, Bianca? Is that the reason why?
Maybe, but it makes a lot of sense.
For me, I'm more of a super robot fan. Like Mazinger Z, Grendizer.
I like both. I mean,
I also do like Pacific Rim, which you're operating.
I would say this: the first mech I ever saw was Gundam Wing.
Yeah.
So
I'm also become the Gundam franchise. Although, when it comes to the real robot franchise, I prefer the more down to earth stuff than Gundam, like Votoms, for example.
Yep. I hate to derail, but there was something I wanted to get to that I realized we are so far off the mark because when we were talking about Turtles, and that was
the Image comics.
Oh boy,
there was Image.
Yeah, there was that was Volume 3. Image had gotten the license to do it, and you had
Smash or Pass.
Is that when Raphael became Shredder?
Raphael became Shredder. Donatello got blown up and became a cyborg.
I call it the one night stand you might regret.
But the funny thing is, though, it's not bad. I've been looking through it. There's good ideas.
The best way to describe it, it's the oddest of the comic spin-offs. It's important to realize that.
Well, what is supposed to be a spinoff? It was supposed to be a continuation at first.
It's a spin-off in retrospect.
Yes. Look, first page, Donnie gets blasted.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
From what I understood and what research I've been able to do on the series, because I do so much research. What happened with it was that Peter Laird was getting overwhelmed with Ninja Turtles stuff.
Yeah, Eastman had left by this point.
At the time, too, because... And, he also was having beef with Kevin Eastman at the time.
Oh.
Well, yeah, dude. Like, they had...
You're right,
until that Toys That Made Us episode about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because, look, no offense to the dudes, but, they became rich and famous with their first comic.
Yes.
Which is something not a lot of creators can say.
It's a miracle they made it up to 62 issues. I know a huge bulk of it was done by guest writers and everything, but at least they were able to stick together to close it out with the City at War, wasn't it?
Yeah, and what happened with it is that Kevin was a young dude who just became a billionaire.
Because of the movies, the cartoon show, the toys.
Keep in mind, Kevin Eastman bought his own tank.
Yes.
Tank?
Yes, you heard that right. A tank.
I want a tank.
You can look this
up. A tank.
I am not joking.
Kevin, I believe it.
What would we do with a tank?
Just keep it. Just say, look at this picture of them and say, look at this cool tank I have.
Like, he only bought one tank. I think he only ever bought one tank.
Yeah.
But still.
Right.
Now,
let me ask you this. Who do you think has handled the Turtles franchise better as far as coming up with ideas with it? Eastman or Laird? I personally say Eastman.
Okay. To me, I think Eastman was more open, but Laird was more mature.
Huh.
That's true.
And the thing is that
Except when it came to Venus, then he was immature about it.
okay, look, we all have that one thing. For Simon Furman, it's RC. For Peter Laird, it's
Oh, bye, Bianca.
See ya, Bianca.
All right.
goodbye, Bianca. Have a good one.
Yep.
Too.
For Peter Laird, it's
well,
Venus.
Tenu is also just having any type of female character because originally he was the same way with Venus and with Mona Lisa and all that. Like the guy was notorious for that.
So with that said, Kevin Eastman was just a young dude who got money, and he left the Turtles franchise being like, I can make something as big again. Yeah.
He didn't.
Unfortunately, and I respect Kevin Eastman, but
At least when he came back more mature, he had good ideas with the IDW stuff, helping them out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
buddy, we talked about Venus earlier. You missed it. We talked about Venus earlier.
Yeah, basically, it's the same thing what happened to Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, except less tragic.
Well, but at least they did come on with other characters too, though. At least.
Yeah. Before that, they came up with Dr. Colt, which is a good character actually.
Zatara. Well, didn't they create Zatara? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
They also created Slam Bradley. He was as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. So they created popular characters before Superman, but they're mostly known for Superman.
They weren't necessarily popular. It's more like they said that they were decent-ish.
Decent-ish, and more were able to ride the coattails of Superman.
Sam Bradley came before. Sam Bradley appeared before Batman, actually.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. It's an odd run of Turtles books.
It is.
Peter Laird was mostly, like I said, in the middle of just a lot of stuff because Ninja Turtles was also going through when was the comics were published in.
Hold on. Let me see what it says here because they always mention it. It was. They don't mention it. Oh no, because they're talking about the urban legends. Hold on, let me look it up. TMNT Volume 3. When was that coming out? That came out Turtle
1996 through 1999.
Yes. So that was before the 2003 series. He was still dealing with Next Mutation, which we already told you how that turned out.
So the wilderness years, essentially.
Yeah. So he was right in between stuff, and they were trying to get a Force movie off the ground. In fact, believe it or not, originally the idea of a fifth turtle came from the unmade Force one. Then they actually said, let's bring it over to the Next Mutation. It was supposed to be a brother. And then one that had the Fox kid said, no, make it a girl.
Okay, so I like the original idea for the fifth turtle because if people don't know, do you want to know
Kirby!
Ah, dang it, you ruined it. Okay, I was going to
Kirby! Jack Kirby!
Yeah, they were going to name the fifth turtle Kirby.
Oh.
Which makes
sense. Dominic. Exactly, Dominic. It can work. Venus can work.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was going to work originally.
They really made a female member work, except it was a female Fox in the Archie comics run. Ninjara.
Yeah. So the whole thing with this run of with this era of TMNT, which is fascinating, is that you can see a lot of the concepts they were trying to work towards in different products. For one of the big ideas they were going to have was that the mutant turtles would continue to mutate,
which they did in the cartoon, and they're in the Red Skies.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Again, good idea, not a great execution.
They were trying to go back to the more darker roots of the comics, right?
Well, not just that. They were also trying to make each turtle more distinct.
Oh. Yes, which I get here. You make Donnie a cyborg. You make eventually have Leo lose his hand, and you scar Raph.
Like, to be fair, I can kind of understand that from a character design standpoint.
Donatello does machines. Now he is one.
Yeah. So they wanted to do that. They also wanted to do a couple different things. Like Raph, I think when the Turtles was going to gain like a bestial form and be like, "Oh, my angst over my rage," that
probably would have been Leo. That sounded like that was going to be Leo, I think.
One of them.
Mikey was going to be perfectly the normal turtle. Mikey was going to remain the normal turtle.
Which makes sense because he's the most kid appeal character, which,
Yeah.
Yep. Also, they were trying to also incorporate it into the Image universe.
Like I said, a
Yeah.
lot of different ideas were being tried out, but once Next Mutation stopped, Turtles went quiet for a number of years for obvious reasons. Like,
Yep, and the sales started tanking because people didn't like the change.
yeah. Okay.
And it ended on a cliffhanger.
Raph was going to have the beast shield form, it looks like, but that was.
Oh. Well, yeah, but first they made him the Shredder then.
Yeah. So, again, they were working on different ideas of what they wanted to do. And the Image comic is fascinating, if only because it also involved the Eric Larson, who was trying to do his own thing at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, God. One day I'll talk more about Eric Larson.
Yeah, tell me how he went from being a guy who homaged Kirby to doing softcore porn.
Okay.
Yeah. And
You want me to actually explain? I have.
Yeah, go ahead. I want to know. I want to know this.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say this. Welcome to my TED Talk on the evolution of Eric Larson.
De-evolution, if you ask me.
Okay.
yeah.
So
Don't get me started on the Supreme Run. Oh God.
Oh God. Yeah, totally just derailing everything. Actually, no. I get where he was going with his Supreme Run. I get where he was going with that.
Okay. I'm going to explain this. You have Saga to blame.
Saga.
Yes.
Saga?
Now, you might be asking yourself, how does Saga...
Wait. Didn't they have sex stuff in Saga?
Yes. Let me talk about this.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just asking.
This is my TED Talk. So, let me explain Savage Dragon's philosophy. It's a shock value book. Eric Larson wants to always keep the reader on his toes. And it's very obvious with that in his books and letters over it. Because here's the thing. Eric Larson is part of comics fandom who often discuss details of like why it wasn't changed permanent. Why didn't they do
Which I respect him for that. I do respect him for that. Like if he killed the character off, they stay dead and he'll only bring him back if they're from another universe.
But understand this about his work is that he often did this, and here's the thing. A couple of things comics did, they did because they knew they were coming out month to month, and they built in is that this isn't a good idea because it would just derail things.
Oh yeah, like when Jack Kirby wanted to say, let's kill off Thor, or one of our biggest selling titles, and do the new gods and replace them, it's like, no.
Yeah. Again, these decisions are often made because of it. But here's the thing. Eric often lived on the controversy and the shock value, like he had Savage Dragon meet God in one of his comics, which, he was looking for attention. He's had several presidents before this on his title to confirm it's like, yeah, hey, I'm political. He often does it to seek attention. And for a while, he was the young, edgy comic shock jock who maybe not everyone was talking about, but he had his thumb on the pulse.
And to be fair, his comics were better than whatever Rob Liefeld did in Image at the time.
Yeah, let's just be honest about Savage Dragon did inspire Invincible. That is one of the primary inspirations behind it. Now, is Savage Dragon always good? The big problem with Savage Dragon, in my opinion... I
don't even know about most of the stuff that's happened in Savage.
I actually think the big problem with Savage Dragon is sometimes it's too inside baseball. You have to know comic fandom culture to get it.
Okay.
You have to know it. And now, this leads us... Why did Saga cause this? And I'm just going to explain this very simply. Saga is the new book that's getting the new audience. That's also sexual, and it developed a controversy for having a bukkake scene on one of the faces of the characters. Yes, that got it pulled from Apple. I'm sorry, I had to get very explicit. But yes, that's what happened with Saga. And you have to understand, when something like that happens, and you're not the book, like when you built your book to be the one that is the shocking one, and you're not, what do you do?
Oh, jeez. And then he went. Now, again, when it started off, have it be the day where still, like he was. Gets in, the son, Malcolm gets into an orgy and a bunch of the girls get knocked up. I mean, that was like, okay, that's pushing it. But just as it went on, it's just like he's really doing it just because he wants to do that. And it doesn't help. His book is one of the most pirated comics.
Let me put it, yes. And that's kind of the thing about to understand the Eric Larson stuff, is that it's a book that is meant to get you talking because that is what it's been doing. And so, to be the new shocking book, it has to push that envelope. Anyway, well, thank you for coming to this TED Talk about the Eric Larson, why he's doing this.
Because seriously, good God. And again, I still remember, I still have a copy of his Superman Savage Dragon crossover. And that was a good book.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm preparing one of my Spider-Man threads I've always pushed back, but want to do
is Spider-Man stuff, yeah.
Well, yes, but specifically his Sinister Six story, where he has Dr. Octopus try to make everyone addicted to cocaine.
Isn't that the same one where he undid the character development of Sandman, or am I thinking about the later?
I think.
No, he's the one who started it. He's the one who started, I think, his becoming a good guy.
He's one of the ones who started to use Sandman as a villain again. He didn't undo the character development. That was John Byrne.
Right, you're right. Byrne did that, and it was the dumbest thing that even Dan Slott had to do a throwaway sequence to explain what happened.
My main knowledge of Eric Lawson's run at Marvel was his run on oh god, I can't believe I'm blanking out.
Defender, Nova. Yeah, Nova's one of his favorite characters.
Yeah, a lot of image creators started on Nova with very distinct styles, and I still remember hearing on a podcast, a guy had a friend who felt like Greg Capullo. He said, "Oh, he was best on Nova. They forced him to change his style." Then he eventually went to Greg Capullo saying, "Oh, I love that." He's like, "Really? I hated my stuff on Nova. I changed it. What I did later is what I wanted to do." It's like the guy was heartbroken.
Basically, Eric Lawson hated the fact that Nova was in New Warriors for some reason.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. No. To him, and I kind of get it, because Nova was kind of built to be. So Marvel does this thing every decade or so, is that they try to create a new Spider-Man-ish like character.
Nova was one of the successes.
Nova, we're going to call Nova cult level. There, he only had a 24-issue run originally.
True.
He's been consistent though. He's one of the better successes.
Along with Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. Also, somebody say, no, she won't. No.
Oh, I hate that. Read it. I remember that she was actually, again, wasn't a huge success, but a bigger success because she was supposed to be like a 5 or 6 issue mini. They never announced it, and then as it went on, I was like, oh my god, this is a hit. Keep going.
In fact, she actually outsold Carol Danvers' Captain Marvel series at that time.
A lot of people. I hate talking about this. I hate talking about this constantly with people because it's just one of those things of just like, guys, Miss Marvel isn't the book you were imagining it to be. There are better examples of it if you look elsewhere.
Exactly, but Miss Marvel was like, no, she was a success. That unfortunately, once they started, and she had a good time of being hands off from the main Marvel universe, unless they wanted to tap into it. It was only by the time of Civil War II that went off the rails, and even G. Will Wilson admits she hated what happened afterwards because she felt like we were tapped out, but we had to keep going because we didn't feel anyone else had a good handle on her yet.
The first example is Riri Williams. That's the type of character that actually was not a success at all.
Yeah, and I would say this: she was one of the first cases of before her. Anytime they had someone take over a mantle, there was a story reason, always a story reason. Riri was one of the first ones that had no story reason at all, nothing at all to be told.
I think sometimes people put the American Chavez book in Miss Marvel's place. When
just the book, but unfortunately, then they say Gabby created her. When no, that was Joe Casey.
Well, here's the thing. Joe Casey created version of America, and like I said, I always consider America Chavez the modern Donna Troy, for better or for worse.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Like, at this point, with how she's been written,
currently, especially, yes.
The only way I can compare her is to Donna Troy, which, believe it or not, is always a character thing I never thought I would see in my lifetime again, because to me, it's like, there's a comic writers can be very aware of how things are done.
Mm-hmm.
So I never expected to deal with a Donna Troy situation from a modern writer.
I know.
Right.
Then you got the MCU version of her that's going to be in the upcoming Doctor Strange.
I'm seeing that tomorrow.
Ish at some point.
I got my tickets and everything.
Well, personally, I can't go to cinemas because I'm still a bit paranoid, especially since not a lot of people in Egypt are actually wearing masks or got vaccinated. So
understandable. But anyway, continue, Dave.
Well, anyway, the whole thing with it is that Ms. Marvel was a success, but her big problem in terms of how people handle her was everyone else handling her.
Yes.
It's like Lady Thor. It was accepted a few issues. The worst stuff was from other writers.
Well, it's like this. She should not have been made an Avenger right away.
Exactly. No. Exactly. Spider-Man never became an Avenger until the 90s.
Not even then. He was a reserve.
Well, like, the thing about it is that a lot of people started to look at the Avengers as the book where it's like, guys, it's where our big heroes are. It's like, no, Avengers has traditionally been where Marvel promoted B-list characters who didn't have titles.
It wasn't until New Avengers where that became standard.
Yeah, it's a history there, but the whole point of... But Ms. Marvel, here's the thing. She had a whole thing about idolizing superheroes, and that should
doing fan fiction.
And that should be an ongoing thing. Once you make her too part of that world, you basically put a ceiling on the character. She has nowhere to go unless you really develop her.
Yeah, that's why when you downgrade her to being with the champions, it feels like, when's she going to be an Avenger again?
Yeah. So.
Although they should have started her up with being with a team instead of the Avengers if they wanted to.
Yeah, if they did champions first, that would have been fine.
I think if they just made Young Avengers again and just had her be the center.
Yeah, they put America in that first.
Then it's like, oh, okay, this is the Teen Titan team. Cool. Fine. I think it would have been fine. But again, there was a lot of weird pushes with her. Like, I remember in the Wolverine comic, they revealed that the future president of the United States was Kamala Khan. And I'm like, guys.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy. I preferred it better when it was going to be Dazzler. Remember that?
That's funny. Because who would expect Dazzler?
But it makes sense. She's a singer and everything. She knows how to work the crowd.
I think the Kamala Khan bit was a reactionary thing because, Donald Trump and the Muslim ban or whatever that stuff happens.
Well, my thing is that I think Kamala Khan was just pushed way too hard, and if they were careful, treated her more like the Kitty Pryde type she's meant to be.
Yeah.
And I think she would have been...
Or the Jubilee, even.
I think that she would have been handled way better. Also, I hate her appearance in that one Spider-Man cartoon where she's like the expert and Spider-Man is the rookie, and I'm like, guys,
I know.
Now, can I tell you this? Can I tell you something that happened to a character that I thought was the death nail, but ended up actually reinvigorating the character? And that was Jubilee's vampirism.
Ironically, you're kind of right.
Yeah, it was one of those cases where it happened. You saw like, oh man, they're going to kill her off. Or, oh God, they're not going to touch her. And they're like, no, they stuck through with it for a good length of time. Especially, I think because they decided you had Brian Wood doing it, and he had ideas, so they just pushed it through. They're even like, I'm going to take her off the board, put her in this miniseries of Wolverine for the time being, and then I'll take her out again. And I think then you had it basically showed that someone had a vision, not just a shock value. Oh, okay, I'm taking her. Okay, someone else take her. No one wants her, then kill her off. And I think then eventually, then once you had Rainbow Rowell, then have our hands on her in Generation X, decided, if I'm wrapping it up, let's make her mutant again.
I'll say this. Just to talk about Darkman's Sana Amamant self-insert thing. Look, I don't think she's real. I think Sana Amamant probably.
She gets too much. She gets too much.
I think she gets a little too much shit. Let me put it this way: she did make some boneheaded decisions. From what I heard, and I'm going to be honest about that.
I understand there's more G. Will Wilson in Kamala than there is Sana.
Look, Sana just wanted to promote a Muslim girl superhero, which is fine.
Yeah, that's the only reason why she gets a credit for it. Is because it was her concept.
Look, which is fine, because guess what? That, like, doing the book, and as long as it doesn't take away from too many other things, I'm fine with it existing.
And buddy, look, I didn't love Vampire Jubilee, but it was surprisingly well handled, and it let the show go.
Let me put it this way. Look, as long as I get my Moon Knight comic, I'm very happy with my representation.
Right.
A character I didn't particularly care for, but got rejuvenated because of a certain series. Simon Baz. Simon Baz.
Simon Baz is a weird one too.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've really wanted to like the character, but Green Lanterns, they forced it so much that I'm like, I know. Give me Jessica. Why is Simon here? Especially when they had each time I was able, without a Blue Lantern ring, purify Bleeze. It's like, no, a Green cannot do it. Why? Because he had incredible will. No. Yeah, and that's one of the few things I will give props for. What and I don't know if you should check out Nerdette's interview with Jeffrey Sorn. He actually went into a lot of details. A lot of the stuff he did in his recent run were edicts. Like, they were told him, make each lantern distinctive.
I was gonna say I wasn't a big fan of Simon Baz when it first came out because they really
not one of Jeff's best creations.
When they really went, it was Jeff Johns' creation, and they really went heavy on the whole 9/11 thing. They made them a car thief, and I'm like, okay.
But he was also there just for a story purpose of the Hold the Ring until Sinestro and Hal came out. That was the big problem. At least with Jessica, he actually built the character up in Justice League.
Yeah, I never. Yeah, the time I actually liked him, that really made me like him, was the run on Justice when he was a member of the Justice League. That's why I actually liked him. That's why I actually liked him because.
Oh right, during Brian Hitch's run.
Yeah, I think it was Brian Hitch.
That was Brian Hitch's run.
The Rebirth run. Let's call it that.
That was Hitch.
Yeah, that run made me actually like Simon Baz.
Yeah, but Green Lanterns did not help. Sam Humphries seemed to have more of a love. He wanted to make. He seemed like he struggled to come up with what to do with Simon.
I'll say this. I had this kind of. I'll say this with. I'm trying to think of like one editor was like a book that made me go, believe it or not. Okay, I'm gonna say this.
Go ahead, say whatever you want.
I remember like one book I thought was not going to end up being good, but ended up delivering one of the best Marvel stories. Was the 26? I think it was either 2014 or 20. I think it was the 2014 Deadpool book.
Wait, Daniel Ways?
No, not Daniel Ways. Fuck Daniel Ways' run.
I do not care for his Deadpool, but I actually enjoyed Wolverine Origins.
Look, I'm saying fuck his Deadpool run.
All right, what can I ask? What did you think about Wolverine Origins?
Okay, I'll be honest about Wolverine Origins here. Okay, I have read stuff by Daniel Way I liked. Wolverine Origins is in the middle-ish somewhere. There's some parts.
They give him a big order to add that he wasn't prepared. Yeah, he shouldn't have done.
Look, there are some stuff I think that it works. I think when Dakin is introduced, the run starts to sing. But
then Romulus.
Romulus.
That was forced on him by Loeb. I'll be honest. If it wasn't for the Wolverine evolution arc, I think that's what derailed everything. I think because, yeah.
I'll say this: there are parts that are overwrought to huge extremes in that run, and there's also the famous stair sequence I remember, where basically it's just 4 pages of Wolverine walking upstairs, which it's not the best run ever. I here's the thing: I can like it sometimes, but it's also okay. I'll also say this: Gary Frank's Not Gary.
Gary Frank.
No, I'm thinking of
Steve Dillon.
Steve Dillon. Sorry, I don't know why I confused
Rest
them.
in peace. Rest in peace.
Steve Dillon. Steve Dillon's an artist I like, but when he drew Wolverine fighting, he had him do Spider-Man moves, and that always made me go, "Oh God!"
But he didn't last that long. He was only for the first 2 years, I think.
Yeah, but still, seeing Wolverine do like Spider-Man flips is so.
Didn't he make Deadpool look like Freddy Krueger?
A little bit. My whole thing with anyway, the Deadpool run by Gary Posehn and Brian Posehn and Gary Duggan.
The Duggan Posehn one, yeah. Didn't that start off rough and then actually stung later, right afterwards?
During the second arc, they find their groove, and the good, bad, and the ugly arc is one of the best Marvel arcs of that era. Like,
were they the one that gave him a wife?
Yes,
from what I've heard, that has been. It's what's her name?
Yeah. That one's actually a solid run of comics, and the problem with Deadpool is he can be very mean sometimes, annoyingly so.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this as a guy who often tries to keep his Deadpool fandom under control on his Twitter to make sure I don't annoy people. Yes, I am very much aware that when I recommend Deadpool, I'm like, okay, this is a good run. Please understand, you're not going to be dealing with too much of the annoyance of Deadpool here when I recommend this. Thank you.
Is that the same run? Is that the same run that introduced one character who's basically a nicer version of Amanda Waller?
Yes, yes. They introduced her. It's a good run of books, and I would recommend them.
And they had a vision once they brought in his wife. What was her name again?
I'm unfortunately blanking on it.
She's like a vampire or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
He sleeps with Werewolf by Night at one point. It's hilarious.
I gotta say, I loved when Joe Casey used her during Spider-Man Deadpool, and they had to be. He meets up with Des to bring back Spidey because he shot and killed Peter, and so to bring back Peter. And then what does he do then? And then what happens when he gets back home? There's his wife saying like, "You're on the couch, but you have Des breasts." Because he kissed Des. Shikla.
Yeah, Shikla, that's the one.
But you also knew that relationship was doomed. You knew that was doomed eventually.
Oh, yeah. But it's a good run of comic books, I'll say that. I'm trying to also think. Oh, actually, another one. Okay, one book I didn't expect to like more than its parent book was Gwenpool.
Oh, which one?
The first look. The one with the Gehiru art. The one everyone likes.
Yeah. Oh, but can I tell you one book that I did not care for except for the graphic novel? That was,
Are you talking about Squirrel Girl?
How did you know?
Because I'm like, what series are we talking about? But it involves like one graphic novel that people can like. I think I can nail that.
Squirrel Girl, yes.
And of course, there's oh boy, Moon Girl and the rest.
I'm okay with that book. It's not my favorite ever, but it's a fine book.
Basically, it's one of those comics that failed in the direct market, but became a big success in the trade sales.
I wonder. Yeah, it's an odd book. I'll say this. The only reason I was kind of hesitant about it was I read their Image series before they made called Rocket Girl, and that book is a hot fucking mess.
Ooh.
I don't know about that one.
Not a lot of people do. I'm like one of those guys who's like, I bring up a comic, it's like, wait, that was a thing? And
can I tell you a creator that I've actually gained a lot of respect for, and I think he deserves more work, and that's Cullen Bunn.
Cullen Bunn is one creator who's been screwed. His
Deadpool work, the Godzilla Cataclysm. I did not expect to love that book.
He's a writer who I feel like if he was given like a good shot at a good run, I think people would love his work, and he would probably be considered.
You think if Deadpool one shot a miniseries would do that? You think they would?
Look, let me put it this way. I don't know exactly. For all I know, maybe Cullen is hard to work with.
Maybe.
And I'm not going to say he is. This is just.
I just said maybe. As I said, maybe.
This is speculation on my part. But Cullen should probably be given more work than he is. The guy was given work with CM Punk on an OK Drax book.
Yeah, but like I said, have you read Godzilla Cataclysm?
No, I'll check it out when I have.
Yeah, it's basically kaiju's cause a post-apocalypse. They've gone quiet, and eventually they start coming back out again. But during that point, they actually are and you actually have people. We see the aftermath of what the world would be like after a kaiju apocalypse, and that is some people are praying for God, for Mothra or Ghidorah to bring rain and crops. When the monsters start out, they think we got to start the sacrifices again. You have, and if they basically takes the idea of you have these godlike beings, and then basically they say 20 years have passed and they've gone quiet, which is that perfect amount of time up. You have a new generation, but you also have the old generation, remember, and then even an older generation. But they're all trying to make sense out of this new world because it's been knocked to the Stone Age and they're just struggling.
That's an interesting concept. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, a lot better than the Kingdom of Monsters.
Yeah, one comic I loved, and it was really sad they got canceled and ended early. Although they were able to end it on a conclusive note, was Captain Britain MI13 by Paul Cornell.
That was a good book. A lot of people really slept on that book, unfortunately.
From what I read, it was a bigger success among UK comic fans than it was with US fans.
Yeah, that was one of the cases in that case. Because here's the thing. It was a bigger success, but there's a reason that Marvel UK doesn't exist anymore. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll say this. Can I tell you a book that I feel the guilty pleasure?
Mm-hmm.
Which one? That one's not too bad, actually.
I want Wolverine's brother to come back. They hint about it in Origins, and no one's done it. They've done stuff with his dog, but they have not done stuff with his brother.
Yeah.
And I had Paul Jenkins, he signed it, by the way. Even said, to my pal Robert, because I told him how much I love this.
I'll say this. Paul Jenkins has the most underrated Spider-Man run of all time.
Oh, God, yes. He's the one who did, especially when he did with Venom.
Well, it's not even just Venom stuff. He's also done, the best Uncle Ben story.
Yes! The baseball game!
Yes.
Yes! Maybe next year. And what happened at the end of the year? Peter didn't show up, and it was right before Uncle Ben.
No. Well, let's not spoil it for the fan.
Okay.
I'll say this. If you are listening to this, check out in Peter Parker Spider-Man Volume 2, maybe next year. I think it's around...
That was his last issue.
No, it was not the last issue.
No, it's not. No, it was not the last issue.
I had that run in trade. So.
Can I just say this? I'm not going to spoil it, but I love this story so much. I want to do my own thing where it's at a point where Peter's dating Felicia. Felicia finds the 2 tickets and thinks, oh, he's going to ask me. And then when Peter says, no, that's not for you. And then she later finds out that it was just an empty seat. She's like, what's going on? She asked him about it.
But you were saying?
Bob, you were saying?
Yeah, the one comic writer who I absolutely love but gets slept on by a lot of people except those who are really into the characters he used to write. Elliot S. Magan for Superman.
Oh, Elliot S. Magan is one of the most unfortunate... Okay, if I was working at DC right now, I would first turn a couple of his novels into actual comic books, for one, to get... my reasoning is simply this.
He's still around, too, alive, isn't he?
Yes, the guy is still around.
Name was Carrie Bates.
He's been working in politics, mostly.
What, Bates or Magan?
No, Magan. He's basically
I think he became a senator or
he ran for Senate. But then when
he's been working in politics for a while. Anyway, but
mostly
Magan. But if I had a chance, I would turn his novels like Miracle Monday and a couple of his short stories into actual comics, because I feel like they.
He's running for it, but he hasn't won.
Yeah, I feel like he would be he would have some of the best evergreen Superman books if you actually made them.
Yeah.
And his Superman stories should get a good collection.
Oh yeah, they definitely should.
Something comparable to Neil Adams runs they often collect.
Exactly. Seriously, especially he's the one who did Must There Be a Superman.
Yes.
Yeah,
he did the first.
Unfortunately, you know where that came from? From Jeff Loeb, and being a smart ass.
Yeah.
Basically, Elliot Magan he did. His story was the first type of story to ask that question, and it's still the best.
because it made it very and to the point where Carrie Bates used that during his Superman family of Krypton Elseworld.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's a lot of good stuff he did, and the fact that his run is unfortunately like just nobody thought to collect some of this because okay,
No.
my issue is with American comics, and this is just speaking as a guy who's been digging up the history. Yeah, the reason why piracy is so viable is just because a lot of the stuff that is important for DC's history is just not printed. Like anytime, okay, I Neil Gaiman Sandman I love, but anytime I hear a new printing of it, I'm like, what else could we have gotten? Oh,
Yeah.
look, we could have had a Starman collection. We could have had the Question. Oh, we could have collected Impulse. What about 90s Superboy? Or other Superboy? Or the
Yeah.
Legion of Superheroes?
Hey,
I
Yep.
think especially true with the
now
Bronze
wasn't
Age.
some of the Legions because Paul Levitz kept them kiboshed?
Yeah, but Levitz is not there at DC anymore.
What is up with up? I keep hearing good things, but I hear bad things. What kind of man was he?
Okay. Okay, I'll let Bobby and then I'll explain some things.
Okay, but I think it's especially true with the Bronze Age stuff because DC is kind of ashamed of the Bronze Age unless it involves the Teen Titans or Swamp Thing, stuff like that.
So I can
Or hard traveling
I
heroes.
can kind of explain a bit of that. It was around the Bronze Age that they started to have better creator deal packages.
Ah,
Oh,
that explains a lot. But yeah, well, what is it with Levitz?
Okay. So the reason Levitz never published his Legion run was simply he didn't want to seem like he was giving personal treatment to his run.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Look, here's the thing. He was the head honcho, and imagine if you now.
Oh, you're right about that, buddy. They don't know what to do with Legion. They had it with Hickman, and then they had to hire Bendis, and Hickman's like, "Fuck that! I wanted to get away from Bendis."
Let me put it this way: Legion of Superheroes. I figured out a way you could do a modern version without reboots, but it would be a very different version than what they did.
I thought Jeff Johns did a good job with his pre-boot Legion.
Here's my simple idea. And let's just say perfect world, you have a 10-year-old Jon or a 12-year-old Jon. He meets his own version of the Legion of Superheroes and they're the kids of the previous Legion.
Mm-hmm.
that's my idea. That's my idea actually as well.
I thought about this a long time ago. It's like, look, here's the thing.
Can I tell you what my biggest beef is with the John Kent stuff? The biggest beef is basically one. Oh no, there's two reasons. One, like he just made a suggestion. He didn't do anything to get it together. He just made a suggestion, and they feel like he's the greatest hero ever because he suggested. He didn't put it together. And then the other one is, oh, turns out you're the greatest Superman. Your dad's just a placeholder until you were born.
It's one of
Those
those
are two
things.
big issues.
Here's the thing. You should not, a lot of writers really, the big problem with the John stuff is that because here's the thing. People want to read the stories. They don't want to read the shock moment and then not see it development.
Yeah.
If Bendis had created John, if it wasn't a already established character, I'd be like, oh, of course you're doing this. And I would have rolled with it because I'd be like, of course Bendis. But when he took a character that didn't fit to anyway, and he changed it to be a character he wanted to write, that's where the biggest issues came.
Yeah, and
let's be honest, if he had created John instead, things would have been different.
Now, anyway, but moving on from just that drama a bit, the thing about Legion of Superheroes, I think it's one of the few franchises that is basically reboot overloaded.
Because, you can't help it.
I understand.
And for one also, didn't Byrne say if he had known that it would have caused issues with the Legion, he would not have, had it be, he never had powers as a kid? I think Byrne said that. He said, if I had known it was going to be this big of an issue, I would have actually had him be Superboy. Maybe, or have powers as a boy.
It's
one of those things that you can only know in hindsight, to be fair.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and right so DC told him that it wasn't his call. It was what was her name? The main head person at
You're thinking Diane Nelson.
not Diane Nelson. No, not
No,
Diane
sorry.
Nelson.
No, hold it.
Jeanette Kahn.
Jeanette Kahn. Jeanette Kahn.
Jeanette Kahn's call. That was her call.
Sorry.
And what's worse is that because of the reboots and the change to the timelines,
And you have good versions. They're each good. Now, granted, that's one thing I loved about Jeff Johns stuff is that he undid 5 years later, which was good in concept, but long-term painful execution.
5 years later reads better in like a collected format.
Yes.
Shockingly.
What's worse about all these reboots and what they did to the timeline and everything is that they turned Legion of Superheroes from one of their best-selling titles that were even selling well when Marvel was killing them. It's like if you look at
it was Legion and Titans.
Yeah, they were like DC's biggest sellers in the Bronze Age. But how it went from that to one of their least relevant titles.
Unfortunately, once you got rid of the Superboy connection and the Supergirl connection.
Well, the thing about it is that with those titles especially, like, oh my god, it's just
wasn't the 5 year later stuff done because of the Superman thing?
A little bit of that. It was also just to bring, because here's the thing, and this is also true, and I hate saying this, Watchmen also played a factor into it.
Of course.
Look, Watchmen. Look, let me put it this way. Watchmen had a both positive and negative thing at DC. A lot of changes came up with it. For one thing,
and Dark Knight Returns, you can't ignore that.
And Dark Knight Returns. Watchmen definitely had more effect instantly in cases like Justice League International did come from the Watchmen school. Like, it just did. And a lot of people are like, it creates so many dark, edgy comics. Well, not necessarily all the time.
I do like the idea people say they understood the problem. They got the answer, but didn't understand the question.
But if you actually look at comics from the era, you'll actually see a lot of them copying the 9-panel grid. Look at any of the 5-year Legion stories, and you notice that heavy use of that Watchmen-like grid across the issues. Right there, if you actually pick them up, that was actually an immediate effect of that.
Listen, guys, I have to log out now because it's 4 o'clock. It's like.
Okay, no problem, no worries. We start wrapping up. No, it's all right. It's completely understandable, dude. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, I think we'll probably end it here since we're like 2 hours and 36 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I want to wrap up with a few other topics, but it could be just me and you.
Okay, sure.
See you, Bob.
See you. Bye.
Have a good one.
Yep. But anyway, I was going to say I was going to ask you a different topic.
Okay.
What would you? Has there ever been a book you've got just for the art, but you ended up loving it for the writing? For me, it's this.
Mr. Majestic actually is one of those ones that is close to it. I like that book a lot.
Yeah, but I didn't expect. I just got it because of his Ed McGuinness's artwork, which is the main reason why they made the trade. But I love what Showcasing and Brian Holguin did.
Honestly, when I was a kid, I was very much into the art more than the writing. So a lot of my early comic collecting actually revolved around the art.
Right.
Like anytime I liked an artist, like early on I noticed John Romita Jr.'s work. I liked his stuff, so I actually bought a lot of Spider-Man books because of his work.
Right.
Lee's work on his Ultimate Spider-Man run, for one, was the first good writer I noticed was a lot of times when I started out, honestly, a couple of cases with the Alex Ross books are like that. Marvels is one.
Right.
I
got so much Marvel stuff on my shelf.
Now I know like everybody's like Kurt Busiek's great, blah blah blah, but I didn't know that going in. I only knew it as like, oh, this great art, Alex Ross art. I'm like,
Kingdom Come.
Yeah, no, and then it's like, okay, this is actually really good shit.
To the point where when you ever read Eye of the Camera, you realize you don't need Alex Ross.
Yeah, no, like Kurt Busiek's great. And there's a couple like again, that was the case with Kurt Busiek comics. Avengers, George Perez.
Yep. Thunderbolts, Mark Bagley.
Yeah.
Iron Man, Sean Chen.
Believe it or not, like Brian Hitch and Mark Waid on Justice League, that got me to make look. That was my first Mark. That was my first Mark Waid comics.
My first was actually the Return of Barry Allen trade.
Yeah, no, I had to. I'm a relative latecomer to Flash. To be fair,
I am too. Besides that, I never bought another Flash until Rebirth. Flash Rebirth. I mean,
I started during the Jeff Johns era.
I got into Flash Jeff Johns late. I started by collecting the trades and Green Lantern of Teen Titans and Green Lantern are what got me going.
His Flash run was when I was starting to read comics, so it was the current run at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when, and I grew up during when, because the way I say it is like this: I grew up during the era when writers were starting to get more noticed than artists.
Yes. Which is where I started by the time that took full effect.
Yeah, and I was like basically like, oh, writing is the be all and end all of comics. Aren't I an intellectual comic reader? Yeah, boy.
When you say that, I want to know the point. You know a case where I bought it only for the artwork and the writing, but I cannot stand the artwork, and that was Marv Wolfman and Damon Scott on the Raven mini.
Oh God, yeah.
I love the writing. It's actually a good story, but Damon Scott was not a good pick.
Damon Scott is a
great was Batgirl. Great was Batgirl.
Look, if you get Damon Scott with an artist, with a writer who can do, if you can get Damon Scott with a writer who can do like work with that graffiti style he has,
again, like Batgirl, right?
Yeah. He's great. Love his stuff, but yeah, no, like Raven.
They just tagged him on was Wolfman. Wolfman liked what he was seeing, but it clearly was not who was meant to be the artist.
But if I had to think about like books with like art, I could not stand, but like the writing anyway. Some of the fill-in issues of X Factor during the Peter David era. 2000s. There was some really janky artists on that one.
Can you explain to me what people like about Larry Stroman's art?
Larry Stroman. Okay, I like his art.
I don't get it.
Here's my thing.
Again, I want to make it clear. I mostly got into it around the time of when he did stuff like with Messiah Complex and all that.
Oh, Larry Stroman. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I
think modern stuff. That's what I've seen.
Okay. I look at his early 90s stuff and you'll get it.
Okay, because what's up with his current? How much has he changed with his current stuff? Like that What If Phoenix stuff, for example.
Well, let me see if I can link you it right. God, I'm gonna see if I can maybe share my little.
You can share it. Yeah, you just make sure. Here's what I do. I put in a separate tab. And then I click share. That way you know what the tab where it is.
Yeah. Okay. Here.
Yep. Hold on.
This is a good example of his early '90s artwork.
All right. Let me. Oh. Okay. Still looks similar to his modern stuff. But I get what you mean.
Because here's the thing. Consider this is the era of Rob Liefeld.
Oh yeah.
He had a more cartoony style than they did. And so it looks a little bit more interesting. And he was also better at panel layouts.
Okay, that's what matters. And I will give him that. Was what he did in those modern stuff. It was fun. It was a very good layout. But it was the rest of the stuff that I just could not stand. I'm just like no eyes. He almost never gives them any eyes. They're all just pupilless voids.
I'll say this. Try and check out his first run on X Factor with Peter David.
All right.
Like issue 71 through 75. And you'll understand why people like his stuff, or at least like his stuff back then.
All right. Fair enough. Again, that's not so, but that's a case where I guess then I just didn't know.
It's fine. Like sometimes you don't see an artist's highs. Sometimes you see their lows.
Yeah, and when they come back after a while.
Yeah, and that just kind of happens. Or they are also dealing with the new digital era stuff, and there's growing pains.
Yep. Oh, you know another artist that feels so underrated? That's Carlos Deonda.
Oh yeah, his stuff is good.
Funny enough, I just saw him because he's in this story.
Yeah, no, he is definitely underrated.
Like when he did stuff for the Resident Evil magazine.
Jeez.
The guy
Honestly,
deserves so much better work.
honestly, okay, actually, I do know one comic I read recently. I didn't expect the writing to be good.
What's that?
Morbius 25.
Oh.
Now, here's the thing. I was doing a thread on Morbius because of the Morbius movie. I'll be honest, you know.
Have you seen the movie?
I have not seen the movie.
Me neither.
But I have. But, you know, Morbius is a Spider-Man villain. I'm a Spider-Man guy. I felt like I had to talk about him.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read his comics, and I always found him a fascinating character.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect to entirely skip the Clone Saga while covering him, but I did. The guy was not in the Clone Saga at all. It just was like, how? How?
Yeah.
How did you miss that? The Scorpion didn't miss it. Okay, jokes aside, it had a story by one of the Sonic writers, Carl Bollers.
Oh, yes.
And I can say this, the guy wrote
better Morbius than Sonic.
The guy wrote the best Morbius solo story I read. I was shocked. It's a backup story. It's not the main story.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Yes, the main writer of the title at the time was I never seen a comic go so bad.
Who was it?
Okay, I forget her name.
I'm looking up Lisa Truciani.
Okay, I should mention here. Try to guess what comic she worked on before Morbius, and I'll give you 5 guesses. It was published at Marvel at the time.
I'm looking right now. Oh, wait. Oh no, that's her as an editor.
No. Just guess the titles. Is
it an X-Men?
Not X-Men.
Spider-Man.
Nope.
Wait a minute. Was it one of the Star books?
Nope, but close.
Yeah, was it a licensed book?
Yes.
Now keep in mind, I just saw what she edited. I do not know if she wrote it. Was it Count Duckula?
It was Barbie.
How do you go oh my god. And she took over was 25.
Yeah. That book went hard and bad.
Wait, Barbie lasted over 50 issues?
Oh yeah, there were 2 Barbie titles at Marvel during the 90s.
Barbie Fashion and Barbie. 50 issues.
Yeah, no.
I could believe an Alf book before I could believe a Barbie book.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Jesus.
If you wondered if I ever thought of doing threads on them, yes.
I think Carr should cover these if you ask me.
But yeah, no, the Barbie books are fascinating little time capsules. But yeah, that was the person who was chosen to take over Morbius in the last stretch of its run, its final writer.
And she brought it to, and it's starting on number 25 of all things.
Yeah, the Morbius book is really a sad tale.
Yeah, it started off part of the what were they called? They were called the
Midnight Suns.
The Midnight Suns. Yeah, I got the trading cards and all that stuff. I'm aware of how big that was in the 90s.
So let me explain. So it started out with Len Kerminsky, I believe his name.
Yes, Len Kerminsky. Yes, he's the guy who was he the guy who he was the guy who left Iron Man because he didn't want to do the Team Tony stuff, right?
Yes,
and he's also the guy that undid the Nick Fury was and was killed by the Punisher. He's the one who undid it.
Yeah. He also did Ghost Rider 2099. I want to say.
Oh, that wasn't bad.
That was a good run. Anyway, Len was put onto the book, And he wanted to do like a big Morbius run. He was like, "Yeah, you want to know what? I have like a 50-issue arc plan. I'm gonna make the best."
But he was let me guess, he was forced into the Midnight Sun stuff.
No, well, he was okay with actually doing the Midnight Sun stuff.
All
What
right.
happened was that the artist on the book was like, "Oh, this is too characterful. I want more action scenes."
Oh,
And wrote
fuck
him
that!
off the book. Here's the thing. Len wanted to talk to him about it and actually try to collaborate with him, but he wouldn't talk to him. And the artist went to the editor and got him thrown off the book.
Oh, wait. Let me look. Ron Wagner?
Yeah, Ron Wagner.
And I've heard good stuff about his work.
Ron Wagner is a great artist, and let me put it this way. This was the era of the artists. A couple of them were going to
you're right. Oh, you're right. The artist-driven stuff. And did he? Yeah, he just got off of Ghostwriter to do the book, didn't he?
Yeah. And so Morbius...
That explains a lot. He just got off of Ghostwriter, which was still a big hit. It's the reason why Morbius was done. So, of course, yeah. And he was on there for 14 issues.
Yeah, so you have this book that is now... And Gregory Wright does his best to take over, but Gregory...
Yeah, I just picked a random issue, number 9, and I see that both writers.
Yeah. Gregory Wright tries his best and lasts a long, decent-ish time. But his heart's clearly not as into it. It's like, look, I'm working on Deathlock, and that's my baby.
But again, I haven't read this up. I'm well aware of this stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no. If you ever want to see a book derail badly in the last arc, Morbius is like the best one to ever read. That's a comic where where the last page of him is falling off a pier.
Oh, jeez.
It's a book. It's a book.
Hey, first, we're talking about 90s Marvel. I gotta grab these. Hold on.
Okay, fair enough. 90s Marvel, so much fun.
And it's actually one of the cases where the reason why I got these omnibuses is because I had a few issues of them and I wanted to finish it. And that was, hold on. The Venom omnibuses.
Oh, yeah.
Especially these two.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Both of these contain the entire every appearance of Venom in the 90s.
Oh,
and that's Spider-Man for the Venom starts it, and basically everything from Lethal Protector all the way to Finale and all the stuff in between. And in fact, you realize this is just an ongoing. It's a series of minis.
Oh, yeah. No, I actually did research into why that was because I actually did a thread on Venom.
Okay, what did you find out?
Okay, so here's the thing. The editors at the time were not sure. Okay, they weren't sure if they wanted Venom to be a hero or not.
That's why they went with the anti-hero route?
No, they weren't even sure if they wanted him to be an anti-hero permanently.
That explains why they changed it partway through.
So, and here's the thing. And this is just the truism of of American comic history. Villain books don't tend to do well.
They got lucky with Tomb of Dracula.
Yeah, very.
Although, I think Jerry Conway put it best when he did Carnage. He actually used what his experience was Tomb of Dracula, and that was, he said, it's less about the villain. The villain, you don't want him to take over. It's about the supporting cast you put around the villain.
Yeah, that was a smart move. But anyway, so with Venom, they weren't sure if they basically were like this. We'll keep publishing them as long as they sell.
Mm-hmm. And they sold.
But they were always afraid that Venom would eventually, have problems, getting an ongoing. So they didn't want to commit to it because he was in that weird place of, keep in mind, the character was also fairly new and was being used in adaptions as a villain.
Right.
And as Spider-Man's main rival. So it was one of those situations of he was in a weird place as a character marketing wise.
Right.
And even now, people probably still think of him as the Spider-Man villain sometimes.
No, I like him both. I do actually like it both. And
I think,
sorry.
No, I agree, and I think that's fair. But yeah, basically the reason is they weren't sure. They didn't want to like go in on a villain ongoing, so they kept making a mini series to help with sales.
But the funny thing I noticed with Larry Hama is during his Venom stuff, he was very much like if you put him on, it was actually a mini. If it was a one shot, perfect beginning to end. When he was on a mini, he was like Bendis. He would have a good start and a good ending, but everything in between was shit.
The problem with Larry Hama could be a very good writer.
Wolverine work.
Like it's just that with sometimes it's like, look, in the 90s, a lot of creators were going through a lot of different changes.
Mm-hmm.
Larry is also just very good at like being very contained.
Right. Again, that's why I give him a one shot. He's great.
Yeah, like he knows how to tell a story in a very consistent and like it's a lot of skill a lot of creators don't have.
Right.
But yeah, during that period, it was not his best era.
I know. I mean, Carnage Unleashed, where Carnage goes into the internet.
Yes. Look, we didn't understand the internet at the time. We had VR troopers.
That's true, but
I'm just saying.
I will say Finale was actually a good send-off.
Yeah, it was the best send-off they could do until
especially when they had Venom, Peter Real. It was pointed out, you've never defeated Venom before. Spidey. They told Spidey, he's like, oh my god, I never could beat him until he finally does.
I'm going to say that was kind of retcon-ish. I'll say that.
When did he ever properly beat him? I mean, no, Ben beat him, but that was the big thing. When you had Peter deal with, and when you have Ben deal with Venom, they had to be he never beat him. So Ben beat him.
Like if you I always felt that it depends on how you define beat, but also look at Venom.
Beat in a fight, they meant.
I understand, but even in the first appearance, most Spider-Man fights often end with him outsmarting the villain or using like a glaring weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And Spider-Man did in his first appearance. He took advantage of Venom's limited webbing and overwhelmed him.
True, but I think they were talking about a brute fist-of-cuff fight.
Oh, I know, but even then, Venom was always established as stronger. And Ben also beat him with the impact webbing. So
That's true.
I always felt that was a bit like, guys, Peter did beat him.
Right.
But, I just was one of those things of just like, we can debate this, like, as good people, like.
I know the other thing I liked, Hama put the genie back in the bottle and had Eddie actually forget who Peter was.
That was an interesting idea, I'll say that.
Yeah, that was during the Venom agenda.
Yeah.
Which led into Finale, because he remembered Spider-Man, but didn't have the contact, so he went on a murder, wanting to take him out.
Yeah. So, I'll say, like I said, it's an interesting run. It's an odd era.
But the artwork suffered. The artwork suffered during the last couple of minis.
Oh, boy. Look, that was during Marvel's bankrupt era.
Oh, good God. Yeah, I know. And, by the way, you want to know what other omnibuses I have? You're going to call me crazy. I actually have The Crossing.
I always considered buying that one just for the
I got it cheap.
How much did you get it for?
Let me double check the full price first. It will remind me of the actual price I paid. The full price for this thing is $99. I got it for $50.
I would say that I would only ever buy that if it was $25.
Oh, I've seen it for $25 after I got it. Oh, you think that's funny? I've collected all of these the end, but I wanted to get the Hulk the end. I was looking for years at conventions, could never find it. I finally found a copy for $10. I'm like, I've not been able to find it before. I'm going to get this. Turn around, literally right over, find $2. And then you see that, what's funnier? I then started finding more and more of the ends after that.
Isn't that
Murphy's Law of comic buying?
Oh, believe me, I've had that issue. I got lucky. The only time I ever really got lucky is on the 6th volume of Doom Patrol.
Oh, can I tell you the one book, the one series? Now that I'm in an omnibus, I'm grateful for. I can never find the trades for Peter David's She-Hulk run, except for the first one and two. I could not find any of the others. I'm like, where the hell are they? Now I can't find them, period, because they're more modern stuff. But for the longest time, I could not find them.
Dear Lord, there is okay. There are a couple Spider-Man runs that if I was at Marvel, I'd be like, why aren't these in print, you bastards? How have you been publishing Spider-Man for years, and we don't have a collection of Peter David stuff, a collection of J.M. DeMatteis stuff? I don't know how you even...
Why isn't there a collection of... You keep on referencing so much. Where is a collection of the stuff leading up to issue 200?
Of Spectacular Spider-Man, yeah.
Yes! Why isn't they referenced it so much and they never collect it?
It's an odd thing if they never thought of collecting it, because here's the thing. Issue, like, you actually have a perfect 12-issue arc.
Yes!
300 pages. You have a consistent artist, Sal Buscema.
Sal Buscema, one of the most underrated artists. And yet, he's had one of the longest consistent comic runs with Spectacular Spider-Man.
Look, that's not even getting into this Conan stuff.
Yeah!
Or Hulk stuff.
Or Spider-Girl.
Anyway.
That was when he's inking.
But anyway, like, the fucking, book, yeah, of course, like, fucking...
Why don't they? They've collected so much other random stories. Why haven't they collected that one? You don't even care about the whole run. Just that story.
Well, here's the thing. They collected in Son of the Goblin, but here's the thing. That's also one of those runs where, here's the thing. 12 issues, it has 12 issues plus an annual. That annual is one of the only times we got to see Norman Osborn's childhood.
Oh, yep. I recall that. Didn't they kind of rip that off? And didn't David Mazzucchelli actually rip that off when he did eventually did Venom's origin?
Probably.
Yeah, he ripped out. Yeah, if I recall right. No. Never mind. That wasn't Norman's childhood. That was him. He gave a lot of Norman to Eddie's father.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say, I give props every day to Donny Cates that he undid that horribleness of Venom Dark Origins. Even the artist, what's his name? Angel Medina hated working on Dark Origins because of how they ruined Venom in that.
Yeah, like, I get it. That was during, like, it's always an interesting era to talk about that thing of Marvel was.
Yeah, when they have it be, he abducts kitties just so he can rescue them and say it was easy. Yeah, Medina felt like that's not Eddie.
Well, the thing about it is that was an era where a lot of writers just didn't get Venom.
No, they didn't. Oh, Daniel Way again!
Well, Daniel Way is one who, because here's the thing.
That's actually in the third Venom Omnibus, by the way.
Fun times. Like, that whole run was that whole era of Marvel, they were a bunch of Silver Age kiddies. Oh, no.
But the book includes the Spectacular stuff first, but the bulk of it's the Daniel Way stuff, and then any other appearances that Venom made afterward.
Wait a minute. I forgot about that. Oh, no.
What?
Oh, no.
The Thing stuff where they mimic the Thing. The fact that Venom wasn't even in this book for the majority of it!
Oh, God.
It was a clone!
Okay.
Which ended up become manic.
I actually have a thread on that run.
You do?
I actually decided to talk about it because it's an odd run. It crosses over into a couple topics I often talk about. One, that was a run meant to appeal to the manga crowd.
That was the Tsunami era.
Yes. Two, it gets me to talk about Bill Jennett's bullshit, which is fun.
Why not just talk about Marvel?
I've done that. But with this run, it's an odd run just because it just misses, like here's the thing. I often try to give creators leeway on, like, oh, I'm doing something different. But
right. And we don't know what editorial told them to do. We don't know.
Who was this for is the question. because it's like, okay, we're gonna make Venom, but it's not for Spider-Man fans. It's not. I don't know. It's a terrible.
It's an
role.
odd duck. It's an odd duck.
I can understand why people don't reference it anymore, because at this point, it might as well.
Again, except for Manic. Except for Manic.
Yeah, that's like the only thing they kept. Like
And they had to give him a name. They had to give it a name.
Yeah. So at this point, I can only say, whose idea was this?
Again, that's why I say give props to Donnie Cates and all that. And to a degree, Cullen. Okay, that was one thing with Cullen, but I did not care for his Venom work.
I actually am more okay with it, but I get it.
But I do think, though, Cates, he took a lot of this stuff and fixed it. Like the stuff with Eddie's wife, killing herself. He actually gave better context to it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because he basically revealed that she actually gave birth to their son, who she knew she never had sex with Eddie, so she realized it was part of the suit. That's what led to her depression and suicide.
That's interesting.
And if I remember right, someone said that the symbiote actually coaxed her to suicide just to give Eddie a reason to hate Spidey again.
Oh, wow. Okay, fair enough.
I don't know if that was Cates or someone else. I do not know. But like I say, I think Carnage was handled a lot better in this era. It was, from after he got ripped in half by the Sentry when they did the Venom versus Carnage and all that. I think Carnage was handled a lot better during this point than Venom was.
Venom actually got the Flash Thompson stuff, which honestly was pretty good.
Well, yeah, way better than the Matt Gargan era.
I think we should probably just say the Eddie version of Venom didn't get treated well.
Well, no, most of the time, most of this stuff is during the Gargan era.
Yeah.
Which started out fine. The way Mark Millar set it up was perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just no one, but then you had to have Warren Ellis make him like, oh, you got to feed Venom. I think Warren Ellis is the one that derailed it.
I wouldn't say necessarily derail it, but the Scorpion has always had the problem of, I don't know what about the character basically makes everyone go jobber energy.
Yeah, but then of course Bendis and his stuff. Oh, thank God Cates undid that shit too.
Well, to be fair, Bendis hated Venom, and I don't think
he hated Venom, but it also felt like oh, the only people who know about Venom these days are the ones who know of him as a hero. So I'm gonna wreck on everything, and it's like, no, there's still longtime Venom fans, you idiot.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff with that.
Oh, one other thing I want to end out on. Yep. Well, I know it's one of those underrated books, but unfortunately, I both love it. I love everything about it, but I hate it because it prevented Steve Ditko from coming back to Marvel.
Oh, yeah, Untold Tales of Spider-Man.
And I feel I both understand Ditko, but at the same time, I feel a bit bad. Like, really, dude, this?
Look, I kind of get it. Steve wanted. Look, I'll say this.
Did he want to tell the stuff, or was he just upset that someone was filling in gaps?
It's like this. It felt a little disrespectful, and
I don't think that was Kurt's intent, though.
If you probably talked to Kurt Busiek, he'd probably realize that Kurt meant it with the best thing.
Yeah.
And, he didn't really mean like, oh.
He went out of his way to make sure it fit in between everything.
Yeah. And he wanted to not, he really did it, but, I get it a little bit. But honestly, I don't expect Steve Ditko.
I almost feel like Steve wanted an excuse to refuse. I feel like that's more what it was. I think he wanted an excuse to refuse it.
That's probably a better looking at it because from Steve Ditko. Whenever I talk about Steve Ditko, I always want to try and be careful with because here's the thing. A lot of people really put a lot into him that's not there.
I agree with that. I would completely agree with that. But can I tell you what my favorite issue is? It's the Betty Brant issue.
That's fair. My favorite issue is probably either the Mary Jane issue or the Hawkeye issue.
Hawkeye? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember. But yeah, like I said, but for me though, like I said, one of the Betty Brant one, because it actually explains why would a girl her age be working, and you find out, her mother did it. And again, and I just love it, and it humanizes Jonah in a way people forgot about.
Look, there's I like that's a great issue. I also enjoy the shitpost that is the Peter Parents issue where they meet Wolverine.
Oh, that was great! Having it just be part of the Zero issue and everything, and then they find out, oh, they're pregnant. They're pregnant with Peter.
Yeah, that's
the flashback issue, the flashback one with John Romita Sr. artwork.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of good stuff in Untold Tales, and I have that omnibus too, actually. So,
I am so grateful they're finally doing Thunderbolts omnibuses. I cannot wait for the second one.
Are you kidding? You have no idea how much I waited for that one.
Now, here's the big question. All right. Let me double check. Hold on.
Okay. Perfect world. If I would love that we would be able to do the Fabian Nicieza era for the first three. And
the first one covered all of Busick's time.
Okay.
Do you have the omnibuses? The omnibus. There's only the one right now.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, the first one covered that. The second one's going all the way up to 63, which is where I'm weary. Is the next one going to include
Fight Bolts?
Yeah. I think they're going to skip it and go all the way up to Fabian's end of his run, of his second run.
My personal take here,
and that's why I'm going to stop buying them. Then after that,
if they do the Jeff Parker stuff, I'm going to buy that.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to Busick stuff.
I like the Jeff Parker.
No, Fabian Busick. Sorry,
that's fair. Look, that's just my take on it. I want the.
Yeah, but I don't want the Warren Ellis stuff.
That's
when they became Suicide Squad.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm just saying, okay, this is where I'm at.
All right.
But here's what I would do. I would include Fight Bolts like at the very end of the omnibus, so that way you can just fucking skip it if you want.
So in other words, they don't include it from this to that. It's going to be kind of like the Dan Jurgens Captain America, where they did all of Jurgens stuff and then tacked on the 2 issues in between just for completionist sake.
Yes, basically just put it in like the back end and don't even mention it. Because here's the thing, nobody mentions that run. Nothing happened in it. No character has ever recurred from it. It is
kind of reminds. Yeah, I mean, when even the John how do you say his name? John Arcudi. His run of Doom Patrol is more regarded.
Well, the thing is, this run was created mostly because of Joe Quesada's issues. At the time, basically, Marvel hated old school books, and Thunderbolts was one of the oldest school of the old school.
Oh, geez. Was this around the same time they did Agent X and all that, wasn't it?
Yes. Think about it like this. Ultimates was in swing, and they were like, oh, God.
I already know about that. They were going to actually make that the main universe, and that's the reason why Busick left Avengers.
Well, no, actually, the reason why Busick left Avengers is because Joe Quesada considered Avengers a bit title, even though it was one of the biggest sellers.
That too. But he also, I asked him actually. He said that was the other, but that was one of the reasons. The other reason was because of they felt like he had heard, they're going to kill off of everything and make it the Ultimate Universe.
Okay, fair enough. All right,
but that there was truth to that rumor.
I imagine that there was talks, and it didn't happen for reasons. Honestly, I think one of the reasons it didn't happen was Civil War.
Civil War saved it? I thought they dropped it long before Civil War.
Well, here's the thing. There was talks with fans up to that point.
Sounds like New Avengers is what saved it.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why I think Civil War saved it, well, not Avengers, but the Marvel Universe. You might be thinking this is weird, but there were talks.
Go ahead.
But you see, all they had to do to get a big selling title that wasn't Ultimate was put big creators on it.
Yes, we knew that already.
War.
Oh.
So Mark Millar was famous for doing Ultimates and Ultimate X-Men.
And if I remember, Civil War was supposed to be Ultimate 3, wasn't it?
Something like that. But keep in mind, once they got him on the title and it was main Marvel Universe,
they had to change stuff.
That probably did a lot.
And Steve McNiven.
Steve McNiven, too, but, still.
Yeah. Okay, I will agree with you. That actually makes sense. And funny you say that when it comes to the Ultimate stuff. I actually do love how Damon Lindelof poked fun at it during his Ultimate Hulk versus Wolverine when he finally got back to it by having Steve and Tony actually be on the opposite end of their 616 universe, where Ultimate Cap thinks, "Hey, that's not a bad idea," and Ultimate Tony thinks it's the dumbest idea ever.
Fair.
Did you read that mini?
That was funny.
Yeah, but have you read that whole mini? Because I actually also love the twist on Ultimate She-Hulk being Betty instead of Jen.
It was an interesting mini, I'll say that, but I never read
the spirit animal, the panda being Wolverine's spirit animal.
Okay, that was funny. I never read it, but it's been a long time for me.
Yep. And taking Wolverine and I gotta say, having him be just ahead and then revealing your power is survival.
That was interesting. Like I said, there were some
good ideas, but it's like, why did you have to take 3 years? At least it was a better last 3 issues than Kevin Smith's Spider-Man Black Cat, which I still say I love the first 3 issues. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man stuff.
That actually made a policy change at Marvel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like both those examples actually made them change policy on how miniseries are done.
You got to get them all in the can first before you start it.
The scripts have to all be done.
Oh, that makes more sense. But seriously though, but would you agree that the first 3 great issues, those first 3?
Oh yeah.
But the last 3, he had a message.
You could tell there was change between them, and not for the best.
And he goes to tell that the only reason why he came back is he had a message to tell instead.
Yeah.
And we'll never see Bullseye. We'll never see the Bullseye story.
Yeah.
Where they were trying to make it more like the movie Bullseye, and then they just dropped it.
I think everybody's glad that didn't happen now.
I mean, I get it. I think Kevin was just asked to do it. I don't think he was like, "Oh, let me do it."
Well, honestly, I think one of the big problems is that
it was supposed to be also a rematch, wasn't it? After what happened in his run.
Well, here's the thing: a lot of these Hollywood eras was Joe Quesada trying to make comics look better in the media's eyes,
and which it worked in a lot of ways.
Sometimes. And I think
JMS on Spider-Man.
I think he never thought how much of grunt work he was actually doing, and he really should have. Here's the thing. One of the big problems with Joe Quesada is that sometimes he gave them freedom and sometimes he didn't, and he was very inconsistent about that.
Again, JMS gave him a lot of freedom up until a point, and I think Joe probably realized, oh crap, he's making people like the Spider marriage.
Honestly, that could be an issue, but there's also the fact that, I think Joe Quesada became very too much part of the corporate heads, and ultimately didn't. And he also let Wizard,
oh good God, Wizard dictated so much,
guide his opinion way too much. It's a huge factor in his reign. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff with that era, we could talk about.
We could. Oh, have you ever read Daredevil Father?
Yes, it has one of the worst ending twists ever.
Yeah, because it totally ruins everything about Matt's origin!
I try not to talk... Okay, Here's the thing. It's one of those runs that is so self-contained and no one brings it up, ever, for
good reasons.
Because it's like...
It was also one of those delayed books again, but because he was the president, he can get away with it. Or the editor-in-chief.
You want to know what's funny about that one? That's a book that was dedicated to his dad.
Father. And given what happened at the end, by the end of it, it was all about abusive fathers. Makes you wonder what it was with his father.
It honestly makes you question a lot about his dad. Because, dear Lord, Joe Quesada was an inconsistent motherfucker, or at least weird enough.
And don't get me started on what was her name, the Spidey's girlfriend after One More Day.
Honestly, I also think of NYX the most.
Oh, God. The fact that he forced them to didn't he force them to put X-23 into that?
No, he decided to do it for attention.
Oh.
Look, he wasn't forced to put X-23 in that. He did it for the media coverage. Because here's the thing. NYX was a book that was limited appeal at best.
Yes.
And he was because here's the thing. It was a book about, street kids with mutant powers, and they weren't doing superhero shit. And here's the thing. Joe Quesada isn't a good enough writer to make it work.
No, he's not. There were some things I did like about Father before the ending. Like that one guy whose father was killed by the Kingpin, so he's actually making these other people to help fight outside of Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good ideas in Father to an extent, but I think here's the thing, Joe was just never a good writer, and I've kind of come to
never.
And he tries, and I'll say
look at Omit.
But he often doesn't. He's often a better visual storyteller than actual connective, and he probably didn't think about I should not touch this origin. It's a little too. He probably wanted to try and do a big shock moment, but the fact that nobody's referenced it since.
Yep, and they've ignored it because it totally just makes the fact that I get it. It's a good reason to give someone to want revenge on Matt, and yet Matt have no idea why until that last second.
Honestly, it's kind of weird. That entire thing is odd.
But what are the odds of? The son of the guy whose Matt beat the shit out of married the daughter of the guy who Matt pushed out of the way.
It was an odd plot twist.
And they both hated Matt.
It was convoluted. But yeah, Daredevil Father, I have that in hardcover, believe me.
So do I, and Joe actually signed it.
Well, I hope it was worth it, Joe. That's all I have to say on that mini. It's an odd mini. I consider doing a thread on it because I feel like it's the lost chapter in Joe Quesada's punching bag hour.
I say do it. I say do it, man. If for nothing else, then get people talking about it at least.
It's an odd story. I've done one small thread on it, but maybe I'll do a full story thread on it.
May I make a suggestion? This will be the last thing, I promise.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. The last thing I think I suggest you could do a thread on, and it's actually one of my favorite guilty pleasures.
Oh, I have opinions on that book.
What is it? I like it.
I'll say this. I gotta admit, the Spider-Man they wrote there is one of the
horn dog. He's a horn dog.
And he was married to Mary Jane at the time, so it was very weird. It was awkward. I always wanted to talk about it. One of the things is I
think the sequel was better.
Okay, I'll say this. I always wanted to talk about those books, but I also wanted to actually read Listener's solo work. But I never read his Dawn stuff.
Have you read his Kill Raven?
I have read his Kill Raven. I just have never read his Dawn stuff, which is his...
Me neither!
It's I feel like I need to read that before I actually dive into it.
Well, except he didn't write this, remember? That was Palmiotti and Gray.
That's true. But you get
you don't really need to.
You get my point on that.
Oh, yeah. But I gotta say, though, I do like, because it's one of the most unlikely of matches, and yet somehow he makes it work.
It's a good book, honestly, for what it is, though. It's not the best.
And come on, Arcade teaming up with the White Rabbit.
That was fun.
That is the most obvious.
I'm shocked I didn't have it more often.
Yep, and the fact they also wanted to actually Palmiotti, and I actually asked Jimmy Palmiotti this when I interviewed him. He still has an idea for a third mini.
Oh wow, that'd be fun.
Yep, and one of those plots they still want to use was Wolverine possibly getting a gray hair to reference Days of Future Past. But what did Marvel say? His hair doesn't go gray.
Oh, come on. That would be fun.
It would be, but again, I thought the second mini was a lot better.
That's fair.
It actually played up on the sexual tension between the two that the first mini ignored. Oh, come on, you gotta be honest. The two were in a life and death situation and all that. Oh, although one of my favorite moments in the second mini was right off the bat when they see the restaurant they're staying at gets robbed. And by a bunch of guys wearing masks, one of which is wearing a Spidey mask, and she says, like, I got this one. Personal reasons, you understand. And the guy just stumbles down and lands on a hot dog vendor's cart. But let's start wrapping it up. But hey, it's great talking to you because you can see I have a varied collection. I'm not one of those guys who has just specific stuff. I have like all kinds.
Look, if you look at, we can probably share notes about our collections, honestly.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the stuff I have. The Saga of the Super Sons, Cable and Deadpool, Man and Superman.
I'll read off what's on my bookshelf right now because I have about 6 or 7 bookshelves.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4 bookshelves.
I got on mine right next to me. Sorry, I can't show you this, guys, but I'd rather not show you my room.
No, perfectly understandable. Perfectly understandable.
Let's see. Lock and Key, Jack Staff, Shazam, Monster Society of Evil.
Oh, I want that.
Oh, yeah. Local by Brian Wood, Ultraman manga, The Nexus Omnibus, Transformers.
You say Brian Wood, he got a raw deal thanks to the what's that? Which is the state that people keep on saying those indie guys came from?
Yeah, no, he got a bit of a raw deal there, but let's not.
I love his X-Men stuff. I loved his work on X-Men.
Oh yeah. Let's see. I also got Hicksville, Global Frequency, the Robotech comic from the 80s.
Ooh, I got the complete DVD set.
Heavy Liquid, Chew, Final Crisis, Northlander, actually, which is another Brian Wood book.
I feel like I'm one of the few people that actually understands Final Crisis.
No, I understand Final Crisis.
Yeah, but you try asking other people, they say, like, I have no idea what the hell happened. It's like, it's not that difficult to understand.
It's literally look. Things
people
happen.
Want to make out Morrison like he's this big, unable to read stuff. It's like, no, everything you want is there.
All right, Myth Adventures, which was an adaptation of a book with Phil Foglio art. From Hell, Sex Criminals, Grendel, Shadow. This is my bookshelf next to my thing, Ruse by Mark Waid. The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, Volumes 1.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, no, I collect.
I have almost every single Elseworld comic.
All my DC Absolute editions except for my Sandman ones.
Yep, but you gotta say, I have almost every single Elseworld. I'm missing like 1 or 2, but for the most part, I have almost all the Elseworld. I just gotta get a few Batman Chronicles.
Oh, Joe Casey's Avengers Earth Mice Heroes miniseries 1 and 2.
Oh, that's nice. Have you ever read Hero Squared?
Oh yeah, no, I like that one.
Yep, Life and Times of Martha Washington.
Have the complete set. Actually,
Right.
I actually have all those books next to me right now.
Oh, really? I got them right across. I did videos on those two, and I gotta say, Martha Washington. You wouldn't. I wonder how much of it, of course, was Dave Gibbons, but it is definitely Frank Miller's best female character besides Carrie Kelly.
No, Frank Miller actually says it's his most heroic character, and he actually thinks it's Martha Washington's one of his favorites.
I don't blame him. She is amazing, especially when you look over. But then you realize she's cutting people in half, and you realize she's 16 when she does it. You're like,
here's the thing. A lot of people often, I'll say this, a lot of people judge Frank Miller's politics based on just Dark Knight Returns, and
he's a contrarian.
Yeah, that's true too. Well, here's another run of books I like that I think people should check out. Clandestine. A lot of people sleep on that.
I know about Clandestine. I don't have it. I've read it once before. It is very underrated.
I have all of my Hitman volumes right next to me.
Lucky, I have none. I want them. I only have 2 of the Starman omnibuses, and unfortunately, I didn't have enough money to get the rest, and they're long enough to print.
Speaking of which, I have all of them. Like I said, we can probably
Hey,
compare.
but I got 2. Those 2 I got signed by James Robinson.
Okay, you lucky bastard. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't do much convention anymore.
Well, here's the thing. You want to know? I have Starman Omnibuses volumes 1 through 6, and volume 2 is in softcover because that's what I could find.
Mine's second one's in hardcover.
So I have all the rest in hardcover, so I just have to live with that.
Terminator Salvation Final Battle.
Ooh.
That's an underrated book.
That one's fun. Honestly, I want to see if there's a trade collection of RoboCop versus Terminator.
Oh, yep. I got the hardcover.
Okay, so there is a hardcover.
The hardcover was a recoloring. More consistent coloring across all 4 books.
Okay, I'll get that checked out because that's a book that I...
Actually, it was also on Comixology.
I am actually shocked with all the licensing deals that it's available somewhere because, you know... It's
also, you know what's on their Comixology Unlimited is the complete Frank Miller RoboCop.
Ooh.
Which, those are good. Now, I do not like the artwork for the second one. That artwork is, what's his name? He was...
I can't use Comixology anymore.
Oh, that's true. Okay, I get you. You're right. Juan Leon Rip.
I hate to say that, but I tried reading comics on the Kindle app again, and it still sucks ass.
I agree, but you know which artist I was talking about, right? Ryan Lewin Yip or Rip. The guy is way too detailed.
Oh yeah, no, he is great.
No, but I'm saying it's too hyper detailed. It was painful to read and look at the artwork for that RoboCop 2 comic.
Yeah,
especially when he did the fire.
God, like I said. So I remember. Let me put it this way: since I was talking about it, I was reading the Kindle. I was reading "Flung Out of Space," which I actually did a small thread on as I was reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Was that graphic novel about Patricia Highsmith? Oh,
I know you're talking about that.
Thank you. I had some very interesting color commentary on it. I was like, okay, let's talk about how this comic handles the anti-Semite.
That is one of your recent ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to see how this YA author is like, time to do the story of this anti-Semite. I'm like, okay, let's see. Come on.
Because we didn't mention about him. I actually have a copy of the Superman vs. Muhammad Ali signed by Neil Adams.
So I actually decided I actually bought it on Kindle because I was like, okay, it's just $10.
The coloring is much better.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Kindle doesn't handle splash pages well.
Oh, no, it doesn't. No, it does not. In fact, before I bought, part of the reason why I bought those Ninja Turtles Urban Legend trades was because I couldn't stand reading on Kindle.
Yeah, no. Kindle just fucking destroys comics. It's annoying. It's terrible, and I hate it. And
the other things I have are the Scott Pilgrim colored editions.
Ooh.
Star Wars, the Thrawn trilogy, the Dark Empire trilogy, and the Crimson Empire trilogy. But the trilogy of trilogies, I call them.
Nice. So,
the Phils, so much of Jim Starlin's Thanos work.
I have the Invincible Ultimate Collections.
Oh, I want some of those.
I have the first 3 volumes of Yusaki Yojimbo Chronicles, plus I have the complete reprint by Fantagraphics of its run.
Okay, how about this? Kevin Smith's Green Hornet and Bionic Man.
Don't have that, but I have the Absolute Edition of his Green Arrow run.
Green Hornet. It's Green Arrow run? Oh, I love that. But Green Hornet, I actually had Phil Hester sign all of the Kevin Smith's green stuff.
Nice.
Bionic Man wasn't bad either, actually. It was a good one.
I have the complete set of Batman Adventures, the tie-ins Batman.
Oh, yep.
TFA.
I got almost everything Marvel Zombies related, everything Runaways, and Alan Heinberg created Young Avengers.
Mm-hmm. I have Shield by Steranko.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I got Planetary and the Authority. I've got Simonson's Mighty Thor, Mark Waid and Mike Ringo's Fantastic Four.
I have a couple omnibuses, but the ones up here next to me are the first two Fantastic Four omnibuses.
Nice.
So basically the high points of the Kirby era.
Right.
And the Roger Stern Spider-Man.
Oh, that's a good one.
With it, I also have... now, they aren't omnibuses, but Marvel put out hardcovers of Kurt Busiek's Avengers run, and I have all of them.
I got both of those omnibuses. I pretty much have the first two omnibuses, except because they haven't done an omnibus of the Fantastic Four. But I have the first two omnibuses of everything Heroes Return related.
Oh.
So I got both of the Avengers omnibuses. I have both of the Iron Man omnibuses, both of the Captain America omnibuses, and both of the Dan Jurgens Thor omnibuses. And I love Dan Jurgens Thor run, especially once he actually got to near the end, and you realize he's basically trying to tell us, like, what if Superman dropped his humanity, but do it with Thor instead of Superman?
Fair enough.
Ecstatics, I got that. I love Ecstatics.
Actually, it's right behind my Superman cape. Thank you for reminding me that I have the Ecstatics omnibus.
Oh, I also have. You want to know some of my biggest omnibuses? I have the Invisibles and Doom Patrol, Grant Morrison Doom Patrol omnibuses.
I do not have them, but I have.
They are massive. You want to see them?
Oh no, I know. One of my friends has them.
I also have the Ex Machina, Why the Last Man, Animal Man, and DC 1 Million.
Oh, I have the DC 1 Million downstairs.
Yep, you can make it. You can. How many guys I have those on my bottom shelf because.
Good luck carrying that up.
Yeah. Oh, I also have the Big Damn Sin City book.
Oh God,
that is a monster.
I can imagine.
But for $100.
Yeah.
That is a steal.
Yeah, no, that's a good collection of comics.
Yep, I also have the two Earth X omnibuses.
Ooh, those are fun.
And what did you think of that series? I'm trying to get through it, but it's so weird.
Okay. The first Earth X miniseries is great. If there's one classic part, it's definitely that one. Okay?
And also John Paul Leon artwork.
Yes, amazing stuff. Good. Like, I think the only reason it's not regarded as highly is that Alex Ross is not doing the art entirely for it.
Unfortunately.
But I think it's a better overall story.
Right.
Okay, I'll say that. Now, some people might be like, heresy, but I'm like, Scott Summers trying to bring back stuff, everybody trying their best to be hopeful, doing their best despite all the dark odds. There's something Marvel about that, and I feel really captures it.
Man, hey, it was an interesting dark future.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be the Kingdom Come of the Marvel Universe.
And like I said, the problem later is that they really, I think, got too much into the minutia of everything.
Universe X was meant to set Paradise X, and then by Paradise X, they couldn't even end it right because it got cut off at the legs.
Yeah, like, the problem is that, and I'll say this, later stuff they made also helped expand on it, thankfully. But
still, yeah, the other one, they're in both omnibuses.
Yeah, but I'll say this, the big problem is that it's a very much like, at times, you have to be a huge Marvel nerd to enjoy it. I am a Marvel nerd. You know, I'm a guy who's like, oh, fuck yeah.
I did love the Rom cameo.
Yeah, Rom.
That was great.
I also am like, hey, guys, would God... Like, who cares about it?
Or hey, what if Thanos was actually part Skrull because of that chin?
Yeah, no, like, but it's wank as fuck, and if you're not into that, it's hard to recommend it as just a comic book story.
I can't even recommend the Marvel's X prequel because you're like, so this is the origin of the Daredevil in that story? not bad, but really, that's what this was all meant for?
Yeah, like you have to be into. You kind of have to be into what it's selling. I can recommend the first X miniseries to try out. I can
Yes.
definitely do that. But the rest of it, I'm basically like,
And again, the fact that it cut off short.
yeah, that's also the case of it too. I don't want to be a jerk about it and say that it's entirely bad because I think it got a raw deal by fans.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at both omnibuses. I have the Superman Batman Generations omnibus and John Byrne's Doom Patrol omnibus, and they both have something that still makes me question about John Byrne.
Are you talking about like the fact that like characters make out with like younger women?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why does he do that? And they were both around the same time.
I don't know.
Yeah. Now, granted, in the case of the Doom Patrol one, that one at least made sense because it was a case where, he was seeing her in her adult form, not realizing where they were at. She was still in her kid form. Okay, that made sense.
Yeah, it's still awkward as fuck though.
Yeah, but we didn't actually see the kiss in the kid form.
Yeah.
But the Lana Lang one? I mean, at least you have Superman call it out.
Yeah, like I said, it's an awkward run. The
first two generation books were great. The first two. The third one.
Here's the thing. I wish I could say that was the only time he did it too. The only two times.
Technically, he was the one behind Kitty and Colossus.
No, not just that. He also. People forget about Maddie Franklin's Spider Woman.
Oh God, you're right. I say so. Her getting killed off was not fair.
Oh no, like look. I think the character could have worked if the John Byrne book wasn't terrible and Spider-Girl wasn't so much better.
Yep, I have the John Byrne Spider-Man omnibus, but I only got it for the Marvel team-up stuff.
That's fair. But
and Guilty Pleasure was Chapter 1.
We probably should end it here because I actually do have to get going at some point.
Okay. Last things. Very last thing that I have.
Okay.
I have the John Byrne second Hulk run trade right next to the Hulk Dogs of War omnibus, which is Jenkins' run.
Nice.
And I think Jenkins' Hulk run is very much like Dan Jurgens' Thor run. They both set up stuff that ended up getting utilized much by later artists. Now, in the case of the Hulk stuff, I do think Al Ewing did it much better. In the case of the Thor stuff, Jason Aaron pretty much ripped off a lot of what Jurgens came up with.
To give you an idea on, actually, to be fair, the Devil Hulk stuff, at the very least, was established in Peter David's run.
It was? I thought that was established during, I thought Jenkins was the first one to do the Devil Hulk.
He's the one who gave it a name.
Oh.
But there were...
And a form, and a actual physical form.
Yeah, he kind of gave it much more of a presence.
All right. But you get what I mean though with the Thor stuff, right? Would you at least agree with that? Yeah. Jason Aaron ripped off so much of what Jurgens did.
Yeah, look, I'll say this. Jenkins also did a lot of other stuff that did get ripped off by writers, but you get my point.
Yeah, but the Thor stuff, there's no getting around it. Aaron ripped off. I mean, King Thor, Lady Thor.
Honestly, I don't know why we're even doing the whole let's kill off Odin again.
Why are we doing this again? Aaron did it. I mean, I still think Jurgens did the best.
Like, at this point, I'm like, dude, guys, come on.
Now, Kate's at least, he's got me, especially, I would say this also, coming out with this Titan, whatever, because it's like, if God can have a Hulk, why can't, it's like, he's taking what Ewing did and just turning it up to the nth degree. I don't blame him for doing that.
That's fair.
I mean, it's dumb as all hell. And we've had how many times where Hulk has changed? We had, especially during, what was it called? That's the one that was Thor and Captain America-esque. They did it because of the two movies were coming out.
Oh yeah.
What was that? What was that event? The one where all those secrets came out?
Oh, Original Sin?
Original Sin. No. Was it Original Sin?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the Original Sin one. It was a different one.
Something like that. Original.
Yeah,
Was
whatever it was the fear something or whatever.
fear. I think you're thinking of. It's not Fear Effect or
Fear
something.
itself.
Fear Itself. Yes.
Yeah, that's the one where because during that, Hulk grabs a hammer, he becomes like even different form. Then you had its own spin-off Beast during the Defenders run.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've had so many different takes. You have Clue.
True.
The Reverse Hulk.
Claw. Yeah.
The Claw. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? From the Red Hulk issue.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, Jeff Parker got Red Hulk fixed. Not saying that's what Loeb did. That's the only Hulk run era I have. It's from Planet Hulk all the way to the end of Red She-Hulk.
I have a bunch of Peter David. I have some I have some Paul Jenkins, and
I need to get the Peter David omnibuses. I need to get those.
Yeah, good shit. Peter David, one of the best Hulk runs all time. Like a lot of people have, I think they have a bit of a reputation, but that's a topic saved for another time.
Mm-hmm.
But like we have a lot of good stuff, and I'll always keep collecting stuff I find worthwhile.
Yep. So. Have you ever done a story about the Bruce Jones Hulk run? And how that got just completely retconned out of existence by Peter David?
That is a run of. Oh yeah, no, I'm considering it hard.
Yeah, because especially you're going to also talk about how it ended, right, with the Peter David stuff. Just saying, it was all an illusion.
I have to talk about it bringing Betty back. I have to talk about it in terms of Walter Sampson's character. Like, there's a lot.
I think the Red She-Hulk stuff was a better way of bringing Betty back. I think.
I don't disagree, but it did show the reluctance of Betty's death, especially compared to other characters. Because I'm shocked that Karen Page managed to actually stay dead.
She stayed. I think we forgot about her by now.
At this point, yeah. Like, no offense to Karen, I actually do like her, but
still. And I think was the notorious of that name in general. I don't think anyone wants to bring a Karen back.
Yeah. So
let's just wrap up right now, and we could talk at another time because it was great talking with you. We seemed to talk for hours.
We did, but
we're both a couple of nerds.
Yeah, I hope everybody had fun. Listen to me talk and Robert and everyone else talk. It was fun.
Yep, and we'll see you all the next time. We should do this once a month, if you ask me.
I would love to do it, but right now, my life in general. Let me put it this way: talk to me sometime in July or August.
All right.
About it.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of trying to shift my life over to something else.
All right.
AKA get a new job that allows.
Oh, say no more.
Yeah, you kind of get it. I'm willing to talk about it a bit here, but like.
Yep. Say no more. Say no more.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
it is the battle of 1,000 days between two Golden States.
So. Do you want me to bring in my Avengers JLA on Absolute?
I got that too.
Oh,
the JLA, the oversized one.
Oh yeah, I got that.
Signed by Perez.
Well, you want to deal with my Kingdom Come Absolute Edition signed?
I got that too.
Okay, do you have it signed by Mark Waid?
Yes.
Okay.
But you want to know the saddest part? I almost got it signed by Alex Ross.
I still haven't either, so we're equal in that.
Oh, another one I almost got Darwin Cook to do New Frontier.
Yeah, okay, that one just makes me sad. We're in on that.
All-Star Superman signed by Frank Whiteley.
That's great. I got Garth Ennis to sign my Preacher. Yeah.
Yep. Absolute Watchmen signed by Dave Gibbons.
Okay, fair enough.
And tell me if you've got this. The Dan Jurgens written and drawn Superman Fantastic Four, the actual book.
I actually do. I have it in
the actual individual one, not in the trade with the other crossovers, right?
Nope. I saw it as a kid and I bought it.
Teen Titans Games.
Yeah. What?
Teen Titans Games.
Oh, the original. If you're talking about the original graphic novel, yes, I have that.
Yes, I have that too, signed by Perez as well.
Okay, you two, we're sorry. We're gonna go now. Have a good night.
Yep.